Yeah. Let me give you one more shot of this. And a quick health check on a few of them just to see how they're doing. So if you're new, welcome aboard. To all the new subscribers, a massive thank you. Hey guys, here we go, mixed bag. Good majority of the small ones, and then these are going to be the last that I go through. If anybody does want, gone for good. Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to this week's Thursday Night Live. Are you good, Matt? Good. How you doing? You want to do it? Take another 2 minutes and rerun that again so you can de-stress a little.
No, I was just saying how all of a sudden everybody's wanting a piece of me, and you've been waiting for 2-3 weeks for somebody to finish off the bit they need to do on their pond before I go in and put the filter in, and miraculously you get the phone call today to say, well done, can you be here tomorrow? It's like, yes. Standing around waiting for that one job to come in.
And then when it comes in, they want it yesterday.
Yeah.
Better to be busy, mate, than to be the opposite way. So, I mean, it's not a bad thing.
No, it's not. But it's always nice when you can be steady because you get that time with the customer.
Yeah.
It's almost like in the shop when you got 3 or 4 people in all at the same time, you can't give them the attention.
You got?
Yeah.
There's also been Gaz's a father.
Yeah. No, Gaz wasn't a Gaz. Gaz is a Gazette.
Yeah. Gaz, I don't know if you remember last year that, well, it'd been roughly around about this time that Matt hatched out some ducklings.
Live.
And one of them hatched while we were live on the show, so he named it Gaz. Well, Gaz actually turned out to be female and is now called Gazette and has just hatched out 8, was it?
No, 13 now. 13 out of 18 eggs.
13 out of 18 new fluffy little ducklings again to start the process all over again. So Gaz is a dad, technically, not me, the duck, which is now a mum, not a dad. But yeah, this evening, ladies and gents, we're going to have a couple of little bits and bats to have a natter and a talk about, and we've got quite a lot of fish. Yeah, yes, Craig. Gaz is was a he, but now's a she. So yeah, we've got a few topics to talk about, and we've got some audience participation to just some topics that I'm going to discuss, and then I'm going to get your guys' input to see what you think. We are going to be joined this evening by Rick, and I think both myself and Matt agree with this one 100% because the guy has been flat out for about a month and a half, 2 months, where he hasn't had a single night off or a single break. So he's having evening off, and he's out with his wife and his son.
Well, he is.
Then
I've been talking to him this evening, and he said, "Well, I got to go because I'm off out for a curry and a beer."
Yeah, he sent me a message to say that he was going out for a meal with, fire. Now, dying. He sent me a message to say that we're going out with him. So have a good night, mate, and enjoy. But we have got some stuff that we'll be covering and touching on and these have been sent in by Paul Cunningham. And the reason why we'll be retouching back over them again next week is we're going to look at them and enjoy them for what they are. And next week, when Ricky's back, we're going to get him to give Paul the information that he's seeking from a certain aspect of it. So we will have a look at them. We've had quite a fair few fish sent in. We've got a few ponds that have been sent in, and I've got to admit, one or two of them are really, really, really nice. There's no big full-on videos, just a nice photograph of the garden and the pond and everything in situ. But we've got a good few number of fish to be looking at as well. Marco Cogneri, is that right? Is that the right one? He's sent in a fish that he purchased from Exclusively Koi, which he got from one of the online auctions, and that's turned out a little banger as well. It's a nice little fish.
Is that the one that he's videoed it in the sandpit?
Yeah, in a shell sandpit. I thought I recognised that shape. Yeah, it is.
He messaged me that he's used it, and now he's going to have to put treatment in to stop the fungi getting over to the fish. Bless him.
But yeah, he's sent in a few, and there's quite a few other people that sent in pictures of the ponds again, videos of the ponds, and there's quite a few people that have posted some nice videos of the fish as well. So we're going to go through all them, but we are going to go into a couple of little topics. But if anybody has got any topics they would like us to have a natter and a chat about, do us a favour, bang them in, stick a question mark on the end, and that will show them up separate and different from... Hang on a sec, guys. There we go. That'll make them show up and stand out a little bit towards everything else that's posted throughout the evening. Right then. How's your week been up to press, Matt?
It's been good.
Oh, if anybody wants to join us now, give us a shout and I'll drop you a poster, drop you a thing in. And if anybody wants to come in and fill Rick's shoes, so to speak.
Cool, there's a challenge.
Yeah, just a bit.
It's been good.
Week been good?
Yeah, apart from we sat there yesterday and did all the calculations for all the timbers and all the aggregate and all the concrete.
And how much you've got to move and shift.
Yeah, it's costing too much money. It's probably almost costing as much to build a pond as it is going to be to make my pond smaller.
You're putting a lot of materials in there, mate. What were it, 20-some ton?
Well, we thought it was 20 tons of aggregate. And then yesterday I worked it out to order it all up, and it's 29.5 tons of aggregate just to fill in part of the pond.
That's a lot. That's a lot to shift. It's a pity you can't get a machine down there with an IAB, so you can just bob it over the top and then split bag and let it drop and go. But
well, we looked at that. We could get a crane in. The crane was £600 to come in and do it, but then you need it all in dumpy bags. And then if you do it in dumpy bags, you pay £55 per 800 kilos. And
you don't actually get your full ton, do you, in those?
And it's only £20 a kilo to have it loose. So it's a huge difference. So, we're going to do a 30-ton aggregate challenge over 2 nights.
That's a fair. And then on top of that, then you've got new liner to go in. Or are you doing? You're not fiberglassing. You got to be putting a box well in, aren't you?
Yeah.
So a new liner to go in, and then when you've done that, you're building a pergola over top of it or something. Or are you just keeping it as?
Yeah, so I've already got them. I've had them for the last probably 3 years. I've got all solar panels, 15 of them, all ready to go in, but we never had the space. So basically, on this one now, it will be the back of the pond will now become the shed. So it'll be like a big horseshoe of sheds.
Yeah.
And then the over the top will be covered with up and over windows at the front. But the solar panels will all go at the back, and then it'll be fully heated with an air source heat pump as well as an additional.
Will that just be enough to run that system or everything?
Just that.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Well, we did the calculations last year and we were thinking about putting it in, and the guy that came over said there was no point putting any batteries on because the amount of electric that you're using continuously, it's not like during the day, a normal household, everybody goes off to work and the sun's out just charging up everything. And he said, there's no point. You're basically going to be using more power than what all those 15 solar panels are going to be giving you. So it will be.
You'll not get any chance to feed back into grids, so it's pointless going with any form of backup. And then obviously everything else that you need to pull from grid will just reduce your bill by a great proportion. Like,
yeah, no, I want to get rid of the backy showers, so I'm going to try this way that I've been saying. That I wonder whether media that's sprayed is the cause of like the flukes coming back so often in that pond. You know, yeah, there you go.
Well, man, I'm still got fluke. I scraped a fish again, and did a couple on them again, and I found that I've got fluke today again. So I've gone in again with flu benzos this time, as opposed to using Prosit Quattro, whatever it is. So I'm hoping this time that we're going to get them nailed on and we're going to get them sorted out. But goddamn, man, they are relentless. They just don't give in. But temperatures have been one of the biggest issues for me. Now I'm actually above 22.5 degrees, and it's maintained between 22 and 24 degrees throughout most this week. So whilst it's in there now, the treatment's in, I've got more chance of that doing more of a job than what it was while I were down at 13, 14 and 15 degrees. But everybody's all right. I can just see that there's the odd fish that's holding one peck in, and then you can see them flicking them, and then they're giving them a bit of a twitch. And then they're obviously, as warmer temperatures have started to come out and ponds warmed up again, man, there's flicking and flashing left, right and centre all over the place again. But it's goalkeeping, isn't it? That's what it is. That's what happens. You get to this time of year. The difficult thing is how we've had that dramatic switch from freezing cold to red hot. We're going to be warm throughout the remainder of this week into the weekend. Then coming back into back end mid next week, we're supposed to be dropping back down to 15 and 16 degrees again, which is mad. It's crazy. We're going from one extreme to next and then back down to it again.
Well,
but it is what it is.
Talking to Rich today about his temperatures on the polytunnels, and mine at lunchtime was coming up to 31 and a half. And I'm okay because I'm doing almost back flush and adding a load of our borehole water in there. So we're keeping the temperature down. But he's at 35 in there and has no means to drop it.
That's not so much air temperature, that's water temperature and all, isn't it? That's
that is water temperature. So God knows.
And it's that point where shit starts to hit fan. I mean, there'll be those that know, those that might be in his group, you know, for the Grown Show with a Difference. He did post a little bit in there. 35 to 36 degrees is the bit where your nipper starts going and you start panicking. And he did say that he'd lost perhaps maybe, I think it was 10 to 12 fish throughout all the ponds throughout all the site, with the temperatures that had spiked and gone so hot and so warm. And he were also saying that they'd opened up the big front and made a big opening at one side. And I sent him a message saying what you want to do is positive pressure ventilation. Now, for all those that want to cool down your property and cool down your house, I'll tell you what positive pressure ventilation is. When you're using natural, when you open your front door and you open your back doors open, and then you push your front door partially closed, and you might hear your living room door slam shut. And that slam shut is the positive air that pushes through, because you've created a small exhaust and a large entrance. 37 degrees water temp. Shit, man. That's what you use that same method in the fire service to clear the heat out of a building and the smoke from in the building. Now, obviously, you can do that within a polytunnel and it'll reduce the heat within there, but you're not going to pull that heat out of the water. So he did say he had done it and he'd stuck a fan in. So if you want to cool down your properties, open up your back door, close all your doors. Open your back door, open up your living room door and all your doors to whichever room, into your bathroom or your bedroom, whichever, but close all your rest of them. Open one window so you've got a small opening and have your back door wedged open in its full width. Leave that door open and a direct line all the way through your house, and that will bring and drag cool air from outside through and out and exhaust out through your top of a bedroom windows. Once you've cooled that room off, same thing. Close that one, open the next door, do the same. And that's what they use in fire service. But to assist it, they put a great big fan. I'm saying great big, it's not that big because it obviously fits on a fire engine with everything else that's there. But they put a big fan in front of the door so that the arc of the fan draws the air and pushes it through, and then you put it so the arc of the fan is covering to the top of the door, pulls the cool air through and blows it straight out your house and cools your house down. They use that system in the fire service to do what they call positive pressure ventilation. Now, I suggested, Matt, that Rick did the same thing, and he said they had done, but that doesn't reduce the temperature of the water. Over a period of time, it will. But when you're at 37 degrees, it takes some fucking cooling down, does that type of temperature. And when you get into that type of temperature, all your fish are wanting to eat like crazy and want to keep scramming as much as they possibly can. But when you get to the night time and those fish have got all that food in the belly and a lack of oxygen in the water because of all the stuff that Rick's talked about in the past, you could end up with a pond full of fatalities. So it's really not the best thing to be doing once your temperatures in your pond get to such a high amount, is to be feeding a lot, because nighttime you'll end up with a crash and everything will end up dying.
Yeah, I think it's the power cuts as well that you worry about.
Yeah, exactly. If you have a power cut, air's gone, then you've got your algae, which produces oxygen all day, and on a nighttime consumes it. So starves the water of its oxygen, and then your fish with all that gut full of food are struggling big time, and then you're in a whole heap of trouble. But he did mention it. That's what we were saying. Like it was going to get to the point where shit were going to start to hit the fan if he couldn't keep the temperatures down.
It was like
Sorry, go on.
It was like last year, wasn't it, when they had the power cut or the RCD tripping out, taking out all the power down there. We reckon it'd only been out for 2.5 hours, but I managed to lose 20 fish of 9 grand's worth of fish. Just gone, just like that. And
difficult times, isn't it? You want your polytunnel nice and warm. Throughout the winter months, you want that heat, and you can't get it. Come the spring months, you get to that perfect balance, and then we get a heat wave, and it pushes to the opposite end of the scale. Yeah. So, I mean, there's only one thing you can really do, and that's have a trickle in, trickle out system. But to replace the water quick enough without being detrimental to the fish by reducing it too rapid, it's not easy, is it? There is no fine line of what's right and the best thing.
I think on the polytunnel it's pretty good, because obviously there's so much food going in. You know, they're like consuming 10 kilos every 2 to 3 days. So those drums are continuously going off probably every 5 to 10 minutes. And of course,
you get a cooling sensation from that, with having a fresh water.
I'm losing that amount of water, which probably equates to 5 to 10% of the water each day. So literally all I'm doing at lunchtime is going in, putting hose pipes in all of them, topping them all up. It cools the water down slightly. Actually, me and Rick were talking about
the edge off.
Yeah, so mine were 31.5 degrees, and I reckon I replaced 10% of the water straight from the ground. So I don't know what temperature that'd be. Let's say 10 degrees probably.
Yeah, probably 10 or 11 degrees, wasn't it?
I replaced 10% of the water. My temperature dropped from 31.5 degrees to 31. But 10% water change, only dropped 0.5 degrees.
Oh, flipping heck. So, I mean, a trickle in, trickle out would do next to nothing then, would it?
I don't think it would even cope with that. It would make no difference whatsoever.
No difference at all.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Do you think last year, though, didn't Rick, well, Vince will know. I mean, I know he put some in to deflect it, to remove it. Yeah.
It's at the early stage, isn't it, when he's trying to maximise the sun. But that would be well and truly taken down now.
Yeah, but could he not use that in the other opposite way so that he could
reflect it
back out, so to speak, rather than in? I don't know. I'm not saying no, suggesting you can. But even now with the newer versions of polytunnels, they're all thermal.
Yeah.
And also now, so they actually keep the temperature even more in than what they used to do. The more modern day covers that you get for them now are actually better at retaining heat than what they used to be by about 10 or 15%. So yeah, even more struggling. But yeah, such is life, isn't it? It's one of those things that it's a bonus when you want it to be. It's a nightmare when you don't want it to be. And winter months, when you really do want it, you struggle to maintain it. But yeah, I suppose it's one of them things. My pond just nicely getting up to like 20, I think 23.5 was the warmest I've seen it, and that was at the beginning of the week. Tell you what, mate, I had a little bird box on the side of my filter house, and the bird box has never been used. It's someone built a nest in it and left it, and now I've got some bumblebees that I've decided to take refuge in it. And within like 2 weeks, it's gone from, I saw this one little bee going in and out all the time, and then that turned into a couple more. And now, shit, man, I go down to the bottom of the garden. If I'm not careful opening shed door, there's 60 or 70 bees, and they're all whizzing around everywhere. They're going absolutely mad. They don't like the door being vibrated or shut, and they're proper going for it, man. They've been extending and building out of the box. With the heat that we had the other day, the little, I don't know what they call them, but I mean, the little things that they'd have the grubs and stuff in, they were starting to melt. So there must have been at least 30 or 40 bumblebees on the outside of this little nest box, all beating the wings like crazy. So you could hear like a zzz, like a proper hum from them all. And they were all fanning it and cooling it. They were going down to the pond, dampening themselves off, coming back up to box, and then going in, doing whatever they were doing, come back and out, and then like chilling it down to cool it down. Well, pretty cool to watch. Busy little buggers. They're certainly, yeah. And they, because some of it fell off, and I had a look at it, and it were all like waxy substance, and inside it were a shit ton of grubs, like 10 or 20 or so. So I pulled all little grubs out and fed them all to Connie. A bit of free protein there for them.
Yeah. When we moved into this house, we had a load of, it was not bumblebees, but honeybees. And they'd gone into the flat roof of the back of the house. And honestly, it was just, the noise was unbelievable. There were thousands and thousands.
They're pretty cool, man, aren't they? I think.
Yeah, they are smart, but Pam's allergic to them. And you can imagine, like, you don't want thousands and thousands and thousands of bees going into your roof.
No, not at all, mate. No.
So we phoned up a few people, and everybody said no, they wouldn't touch them at all. And eventually we found somebody. He came over and looked at them, and he said, we only got one option, well, two options: take the whole roof off to get them out, or we're going to have to put the powder in and get rid of them, which was, truthfully, was the last thing I wanted to do. But we had to, in the end, we had to settle on that. So he worked a load of smoke in to drive them all out, and then he sprayed his powder in to eradicate what was left in there. And he said to me, the only issue is going to be in the summer, because this was in the spring last year, in the summer when it warms up, you'll remember me. And I was like, I don't get that. Anyway, end of story, he went off. Got to about August last year when we had the heat wave, and I did remember him because we had honey dripping through the ceiling. It had all melted. There was nothing eating it, and it was literally.
Shit.
I can work out.
Well, that's what they're doing. It was all running down the front of the box, and they're all dripping out, all honey coming out of it.
It's nuts.
When I were a nipper, well, I'm saying a nipper, I was about a teenager. My mate had a similar sort of thing. He used to have a, what do you call it? A wasp nest, and it was in the same bit in the soffit board, and they never thought no about it. But when they came back from a 2-week holiday, it had broke through and into the living room, and then they'd ended up with a big nest on the living room. So they had to get somebody to remove all that. But that were
yeah, not nice.
Have that, Col? This used to be a Koi show. This used to be a Thursday Night Live with Gaz's Koi Pond, mate, and still is still a Koi show. But we're not here just to entertain you, mate. We're here to entertain ourselves and everybody else. Right then, since as though we've got our first question in, do you guys think water used from mains to wash the drum needs to go through a big blue, as it's near enough all going to waste? Now, you fit these things, mate, so you're going to know way more. I don't know a note about drums, so I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to put something in there or say anything different. But I know I've heard Rick say before it passed you could use your wastewater, your pond water to use it rather than it actually going from mains, hasn't it, in past. So, I mean, you fit them, Matt.
So to repeat what Rick said last week, the amount of chlorine that will be going into your pond and at that level won't make any difference at all. It will 100% be able to cope with it. But what you'll be surprised at is I used to do exactly that. I used to have header tanks and basically the water fed down to it, and instead of taking it from the pond, took it from, rather than taking it from the pond, used to take it from the header tanks. But you'll be surprised that you've got more water going back into your pond through the jet wash than what you have going out. So basically where you're spraying it, although that you think that it's all going down the waste tray and going out, over 50% of it is definitely going round your drum into your pond. Guarantee you 100%, because my biggest issue was when I first set it up 4 years ago, was each of the ponds needed to be siphoned out to remove some of the excess water.
So let's say, for example, if you've got a 20,000 litre pond, average, decent sized pond, if you've got a 20 or maybe more, whatever, if you've got a 10,000 litre pond and you fitted a drum system, at what percentage or how much literage per day do you think is flushed through on an average system when running a drum?
What, as in got rid of?
No, what would be flowing back into the pond?
Probably exactly the same. So you're doing.
If you're taking out 10% of your pond throughout your day's cycle of cleaning,
yeah, you wouldn't be though, because
I don't know how I'm asking me.
It's 1.5 on the filter. It definitely is. It's 1.5 litres of water on each flush, and then the drum
doesn't really use that much, then, does it?
No, and no power either.
Just because it looks so powerful, you assume that it's using a lot. So they only use about 1.5 litres per flush.
1.5 per flush, definitely.
Oh,
1.5 litres of water is being put down your waste. Obviously, it's probably spraying more because it's going over. So you're probably saying it's actually washing 3,000-4,000 litres of water, but it's only 1.5.
So you wouldn't even be replacing 1% of your actual.
No.
So when you think about that, then Lebo has put in there, yes, you do as well get chlorine in your water. Well, if you've got 1% of 20,000 litres, the amount of chlorine that you're getting going in there is diluted by 19,998.5 litres. So you're getting next to nothing chlorine in there, are you? At all. No. Pretty much zero. So no real need for it to go through a big balloon at all, is there?
I don't see the need to.
The amount that's going in on a daily basis, and that will evaporate out using, in a 24-hour period. You wouldn't even notice it, would you?
So the only bad negative bit about it is it's actually going straight into your biological side rather than being put into your pond as topping up. Do you see what I mean? So where Rick last week was saying, obviously, the level of chlorine, the amount of water you're putting into the pond is going to do no damage. That's been diluted into the pond. But if you're using it in a wash pump, yes, it's probably going to have more of an impact. But the the amount that's going in there, probably 1.5 litres of water every hour.
What about the side of it where it goes from a drum then, for example, when you've got it flushing through, blasting it all off, clearing it all out and through your drum, then most people have it go through from there then straight into a moving bed chamber, don't they?
Yeah.
Any effect having the chlorine going direct into your moving
that's
bed?
what I'm saying. It's probably in the worst place it could be, which going into a drum, going into your biological. If it was going into the pond first, then obviously the chlorine's being diluted. It's a higher concentration if it's going into the wash pump. But
so if it was set up on like a system, pulled out through the drum, then into a moving bed, and then back to your pond, that might not be too good for your biological side of things, where you'd ended up reducing the effectiveness of that.
And the other thing is you're wasting good, fresh tap water, as fresh as tap water can be. Why wouldn't you want to be using a part of your pond water? Because then you're going to be doing your partial water changes naturally through the system. You see what I mean? So you're washing good water straight down into your drum and out the door. Yeah.
That's a little bit of a mistake from last week, I do believe, don't it?
Going on, and he can be the true or false guy tonight.
Greg put it there. If I had mains water wash, I wouldn't. You will just blow chlorine straight through because they're designed for constant trickle.
But see, and you can have an argument on that one. That water, if it's just sat there in the big blue, your chlorine's going to be gone inside the big blue. So when the wash pump then comes on, it's only actually going to be washing out, let's say, 3 litres of water out of your big blue. So it's not going to have any chlorine in it.
Yeah. But Vince said there, take your wash pump water from the clean side. No need to worry about anything. Then just put your big blue on the auto top up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's reminded me, I've got to tell everybody this one because I was gobsmacked. And Vince, you definitely need to listen to this one. So Phil True have designed the wiring configuration, and it's going to be hot. Nobody else knows this one. They've changed the wiring configuration on the floats and the control panel. So if you buy a new float, it's actually wired up in reverse to what the controller wants to know. So it's basically saying you need to wash when you don't need to wash. So you go and replace your float, and it's actually the only way it will work is upside down, and it won't work then because you've got 2 floats. One says turn off, the other one says wash. So now anybody that buys a new controller has to buy a new float, and anybody that buys a new float has to buy a controller.
That's a bit convenient, isn't it?
I know.
So now your simple float. Can you not just reverse wire it?
You could do if you knew what you were doing.
That's a bit sneaky, isn't it? They put out a control. Well, I suppose if people are reliant and dependent upon it, then they got your back short and killers, haven't they? You ain't got no choice. You got to do what you got to do to get your system back up and running. So you've got to buy it.
Well, I did one today. So the guy, his control box wasn't working, which is really unusual. Like, he's the first one I've had to supply a new one to. Sent it to him and worked out exactly what was going on, and he had to spend another £40 for the float. But if somebody's float goes wrong now, rather than
you have to buy the controller to control
the controller. So rather than a £40 float only, they now have to buy a £140 controller as well.
Yeah, so there we go. The controller box isn't cheap for them. How fucking convoluted. That's I mean that's manipulating the requirements and needs of the koi keeper, isn't it? But yeah.
Well, I'm wondering whether it was or whether it was
that's not happened before.
I'm wondering whether it was somebody that was working his month's notice or something like that and thought he paid a
wire
them all up in reverse just to be funny. Of course, just now they got 1,000 floats there all wired up in reverse.
Good evening, Richard. Evening, gents. How are you all going? Everyone warm, mate. It has been cracking, hasn't it? It's been lovely. It's been nice to enjoy it. But again, at the same time, it's quite difficult to sleep on a night when you're pecking red hot too, isn't it? And you can't seem to get comfortable. Lee, I've just gone in again today, mate. I've literally just gone in with what did I say it's called? Not Prosequantro. I'm trying the flubenzazole now based, and I'm trying to see if I can give that a bash on. Well, advised by Rick when we had a chat last week after the live, he turned around and said that really what you want to be doing now, because you've tried well, not tried, you've used and you've used and you've used, which have all been flubenzazole, praziquantel based. Now, you might have nailed on a good vast majority of them, but those ones that haven't are probably immune now to that treatment. So you want to hit them with a different brand, different type, which I'm doing now. So, and I will say, guys, I'll be honest, I've done a 1.5 times dose. I haven't done the actual instruction dose. I've gone in straight in, nice and hard, and they're having it. So, but to be fair, there's only, after losing one the other week, which was Marie Sankey, which I'm well pissed off about because that was probably the nicest fish in pond. After losing that one, now there's the odd one or two more that I got, holding a pecking in, and I'm thinking, this not again. We're surely to God, but obviously temperatures are warmed up, flukes start becoming more active, they start becoming more pissed off, and obviously I need to get on top of them. So we've gone in and we're doing it good and proper. But this time, Lee, I ain't hitting with no PP, mate, because taking advice and research that I've done myself, it takes a long time for that slime coat to build back up, and going in time and time again with PP ain't good for the gills, ain't good for the fish, and it ain't more stress that I want to be putting them under on top of fluke treatment as well. So we've just gone straight as we are. We've had one attempt with one product, which was praziquantel based, and then we've done as instructed, day 1, day 2, day 3, left it 7 days, and then gone in with a full dose treatment again, and then we've left it for a fortnight, and then we've gone in with a full treatment with Kasuri Fluke P liquid version and give that a full treatment, and then after that left it another week and gone in with another half dose just to top it back up to see if we could get on top of them, and we've still got them. So doing what Rick's advised and going in with that now.
It's weird though, because it's not so much of having to treat the fish for the flukes, it's having to turn off your UVs and turning off your drums.
I'm not all that bothered by that, Matt, to be fair. I mean,
I do, because we
wait. Starting to go green, and I was starting to get blanket algae coming back in as well, and I thought, shit. I'd rather get rid of the parasites than be worried about the pond being green. I can get the water clear again.
When was the last time you added any fish to your pond?
Back end of summer, autumn last year.
So, and how many times have you had to treat since then?
Back end of summer, autumn last year, and straight at the beginning of spring this season.
And again now.
Yeah. And again
that's
now.
That's what I mean. So you've done it 3 times, 3 lots, and it's still not eradicating it.
No. It's becoming to a point where that's why I've done what Rick said, because he explained last week with it, well, to us after the show, guys, but I mean, he has said it on here before in the past as well. You can keep hitting them with the same product to a point where they become almost difficult to eradicate. By using that same product, you'll get some offspring that become immune to that type of treatment. So the next best thing to then is to go in and hit them again with a different product-based treatment, and that way then you hopefully get on top of them. So that's what we're trying, and that's what we're going for. But
sorry, mate. Bring up those pictures. Bring up those pictures I sent you, and see if anybody can guess what they are.
Say that again. Sorry.
Bring up those pictures I sent you a couple of days ago.
Yeah. What was the second one? What was the second one?
I didn't know either, and I sent it to Rick, and he come back saying, "Fuck me, mate. We need to be."
What was the one with the Koi's head as well?
Oh, yeah, that was interesting. So Ollie's got exactly, and it's on his crushy goy, and basically that is potentially through damage caused by either parasitic, bacterial, or banging it against something, and it's basically
bruised, blood up to surface.
Yeah, on the head, it's got lots and lots of nerve cells, and basically where you bang it or it's got damaged, all of those nerve cells bleed, a bit like varicose veins.
Yeah,
and exactly, it was almost like that picture, and it wasn't. It was somebody on Facebook had shared it, and I was like, bugger me, that's exactly
What it looked like.
what Ollie had. And I showed him today actually, and he was like, "Is that my fish?" And it was just exactly like it. But it was Google. So on your phone, on your front page where you can attach a photo, it was literally, I'd done it and showed Ollie when I was there, put the picture on and said, "What is this?" And it came up and it had a banging answer, and it was exactly all the stuff I'd researched came straight up on it. And it was like, it's an amazing tool.
The other one, I mean, let's see. The first one, and then the second one, and then we've got the third one. Well, I'll bring them up, guys. I'll show you. See if what everybody thinks. But first of all, before I do go any further, good evening, mate. Good evening, Alan. Good evening, Joe. A bit warm for a ginger like me. Craig has asked, Gaz, have you tried LearnX Pro? Mate, I don't like it. And after the last time I used LearnX Pro, mate, and my Yamabuki that I had in the pond ended up kind of going a bit nuts. That was after using LearnX Pro on the bounce for free treatments, trying to eradicate fluke last time. And from that fish going, the only time that fish seemed to be happy was when the LearnX was in. And I tried 3 times with it. And then after that, it started flashing and flicking and going crazy all the time. And I've said it before, times and time again. It slammed across the pond, it whacked into the side, and then it swam across the pond flat out, straight into my Matsukawa Bake, whacked it straight in its guts. The Matsukawa Bake dropped like a sack of shit straight to the bottom of the pond. And then next thing you know, the Yamabuki was bouncing off of the sides of the pond absolutely everywhere, and then rolled over and just bellied up and died. And I thought, what's that? What caused that? I've never seen out like it, mate. I've never seen a fish. I tell you what, when you put I don't know if you've ever done it, but if you put a coarse fish in an environment like a glass tank, how they just literally, or you put fish in a tank at first and they just bang, bang, bang. That's what it was like. It was just from one side of the pond to the next, smacking off of every surface it could.
That's like Rick's fish. Like Rick's fish when he takes them out of mud ponds, they do exactly that.
Yeah, exactly that. When he first puts them in bowl and you can hear them, doom, 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 doom. I could hear it swimming into the side of an in-ground pond. I could hear the bang it were making. So ever since then, Craig, I'm not saying it was the LearnX Pro. I'm not saying that, but that's the only thing I'd done different was treat with LearnX Pro, and I'm not going back to it. I won't use it for that reason. Just on my own piece of mind.
The bit I don't get with it, the medication, is it gives one measurement or one dosage, and that is it. It doesn't take in any account for the type of the pond.
Yeah.
So, like Sean actually down in Weymouth, he's obviously got his clinical clean pond at the back of the house and his more natural pond at the front. Now, they both got flukes or both had flukes. And he's putting the same dosage in both ponds. But one of the ponds has got loads and loads of vegetation, loads and loads of plants. It can't take the same dosage to be effective in both ponds to that level.
No. It's the other, and I've got to agree, Vince, to me and all, mate, that is another reason. LearnX Pro is a motherfucker to dissolve. And it's hard as shit to get that water, to get that to break down, to get it in. You can see it just floating on the surface of your pond. There's like a white dusting covering everywhere. I mean, Tina's just there.
When I was using the LearnX Pro, I was just chucking it straight into the filter just before the pump.
For it to gyrate up and mix it up. That's how I did it, mate, because I was using a whisk in a drill, like a paint mixer whisk. In a cordless drill and banging it in bucket, and I did it with boiling water to try and break it down and get it to go. Not a chance. But Tina Williams has just put there, Gaz, what you just described is exactly how my koi behaved after treating with LearnX Pro. It died. Yeah, well, that's exactly what happened with mine as well. It was, and I was genuinely sick because I like me on the book. problem with favourite fish. So yeah, gutted. And Tina, it was obviously something. The fish, I think the last time when it slammed into the wall, it just sat there on top and it was just pulsing like that, just floating on its side, like jiggering and shaking, and that was it. Then it was done. So I think the last thing that it did when it whacked in, it stunned itself or killed itself. But yeah, not something I'll use again. But I'm not saying it's the product. I'm not saying that. That's the only thing different I'd tried. The only thing different I'd used. And that was the result that I had. And it's not. I've heard talk of people saying it can affect fish neurologically. Whether there's any truth in that, I don't know. And I'm not saying that. I'm not going to make that claim because that'd be wrong to do so. But it's not something I'll ever use again.
But if they're Praziquantel based or flu based, aren't they the same medication anyway? What is the difference between one and the other? It's funny because
I don't know, mate. I mean, what was the difference in Fluke X if that was Praziquantel based? I mean, yeah, but it seemed to work. Is it what they put it in? What the delivery system is? What else that's in there with it? I mean, I don't know, mate. I don't know enough about the treatments, and I certainly would like to find out more about them. But who knows?
It must have been 2-3 months ago now. Cloverleaf was one of them. And Fluke X was the other one. And I spoke to both of them because they were trying to get me to swap over. And I said, why don't you come on to this? Why don't you come on and answer the questions that no chance. They will not do it. And it's just, I get why, because they're just...
You can understand why, because everybody's going to fire all those questions out. Everybody's going to turn around and go, my fish did this because of you and your product. And although that's might have some truth to it, it doesn't necessarily mean it was because of their product. It might have been a mistaken error or whatever, or however it is. But
no, one of the big medication people I spoke to, it was last year, and what they were telling me to use as treatment was way over the dosage of what was on the back of the packet.
Well, I know personally of somebody that's contacted them direct, and I'm not going to say the company or the product, and they literally advised them to use way more than what it said on the package. Yeah. Because he'd bought 3 boxes of the product, and when he used it, it still got the issue, still got the problem, and he couldn't get rid of the problem. So he contacted them personally. He spoke with them, got to one of their technicians, spoke with the technician, explained what they'd done, and they told him a dosage to use for his literage and a procedure how to do it, which is not on the box, but it worked. And that's because he were at his wit's end and he'd spent a lot of money buying it and it didn't do what it said it would doing.
I questioned it and said, why is this not on the packet? This is not what you're saying on the dosage. He said, if you wanted me to put in black and white an email or this was a recorded message, I wouldn't be telling you it. But this is what you need to do. And I think they're all the same.
I think you can understand it though, Matt, can't you? What happens if they do? They give that advice, they put on there the dosage treatments that actually will work. But when you do go to those levels, there's an element of risk involved in all treatments, regardless if you use the treatments as they specify on the packaging. So if you're going to go over it, that increases tenfold, doesn't it? So
it's like
you run that risk.
Yeah, it's like the PP. Everybody that's used PP, it's 6.8 grams and for 1,000 gallons.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what everybody puts in that they've used up to. Because it will be a lot more than that. But, and I get it as a dealer. I get people asking me, well, what? And I can't tell them to go more.
Well, if you do, then you're opening yourself up to a can of shit out if it goes wrong.
And the same with the sturgeon. So the sturgeon I've got in most of my tanks here, all on obviously in the bottoms of them, and they're all different sizes or different types. And all the medication says do not use for sturgeon. Well, I have to, without removing all the sturgeon from each one of those. And all the years I've been doing, I've never lost one single sturgeon.
Well, I know. To be fair, mate, I've heard other people say they've used PP.
PP will be different if you're overdosing. definitely 100% you're at risk, because I know, like with Sean, he's got 2 big albino sturgeon in his.
Yeah. The bigger
is-
the fish, the more the risk, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
obviously,
but
the bigger fish, more oxygen.
we were talking about it the other night with him. So he's got one of the sturgeon that naturally swims hell of a lot all day long, just
Yeah.
continuously moving around. And he's got another one that's quite placid, just quite happy, sit in the corner, go for a swim, go back. But he's had it for years. Every time he PPs, he leaves the sturgeon in the pond, but the one fish that shows the most sign is the one that's lazy, sitting there in the corner. And again, it's probably because he's not getting the flow of the oxygen.
And not cruising around and moving around enough.
Yeah. And it's the same one every single time.
PP 800 grams? 800 grams? Fucking hell, fire. 8 grams or 6. PP 800 grams at 6 grams was nowhere near enough. Had to top it up. If you had to top up 800 grams, mate, I mean, that's a shot. That's a big ass bucket full. That's a lot of PP.
I was going to say, is it in the packet? A packet is 100 grams.
Oh, he's putting their gallons. I'm going to say, that was a whole lot of PP, mate. 800 gallon pond for 6 grams was nowhere near enough. That sounds more like it. But Tina's putting there, look. 40, hang about, missed one. I've always used a bigger dose than what it says on the box says. And then 40 had backfired on me once. I wiped out all my off. That's the thing with off. They're like... And there's always been talk about people having different types of fish in the ponds and all that, whether should, shouldn't, and all the rest of it. But one thing you can say for off, they're like the canary fish. They will let you know straight away, pretty quick, damn fast, that there's something wrong in your pond, because they're first ones to go. And yeah, obviously treatment.
Somebody on Facebook yesterday posted that they've had them for over 20 years, got up this morning, and they had a load of dace that they'd caught from the river. And all the dace in the pond, they'd had them there for 20 years, but all of them were dead. And he couldn't understand why all the dace were dead and all his koi and goldfish were okay.
Well, going back years and years ago when my dad, probably a good 10, 15 years ago now when it happened, my dad's neighbour dropped some cement into the pond. And that was the off that it was the off that they all just floated up, bellied up, done, dead straight away. I'm like, what's going on? And first it was like 1, then 2, then rest of them, and all before you know it, the rest of the other fish were coming to the surface, and it was the off that made us notice that there were a problem. And it were only that the fact that we'd gone round into the back garden just to grab a few bits from outside my dad's greenhouse that we'd spotted that there were an issue in the first place. So then it were a case of panic stations. What do you do? You could see there was something not right, and everything were bellying up and dying. So, well. Did what? First thing you could think, just filled bath up with cold water and threw them all in there. And we managed to save, out of the 26 fish that he had, we managed to save, I think it were about 5 or 6 of them. The rest of them all died.
Why is it with the orf, they have not a majority, but a good proportion of them, when they get big, you'll always find 1 or 2 of them with twisted back?
Yeah, they get that twisted bent. Yeah, I think it's because they're sensitive to water quality levels as well, and if your water quality is just not perfect, they're quite prone to it, aren't they? I mean, that's normally caused by 1 or 2 things. It's deformity from birth, and it's something that's going to happen regardless. 2, water quality.
So the theory is,
yeah.
So it's not about lightning strike that you see. It's not about lightning strike. You see that loads on Facebook. Yeah, you've had a lightning strike. Right.
Well, I've seen it already all over Facebook. Everybody talking about it and making sure that you're doing it right. To me, guys, there's that talk about, the warm weather's come. Let's make sure we've got plenty of oxygen in. Why only make sure that there's plenty of oxygen in when the sun's out? Why not make sure you're giving them the maximum amount of oxygen you can give them all the time? I mean, that's what I do. Give them as much oxygen as you possibly can throughout, continuous. And then that way, then you ain't having to up it or panicking or thinking, shit, it's got right warm while I've been at work all day and I haven't put that extra air stone in. Have it in there anyway. Give them that extra oxygen. If they're going to need it throughout your spring into summer months into autumn, then you can reduce it again if you need to do. But having it where it's, I personally, me, it's throughout all year round. Same amount, maximum I can give them. Just my opinion.
And do you say the same with the UV? Give it to them all year round, or not to them, but give it to the water.
I do, yeah. I mean, there's people that switch them off. And for what I noticed in the difference in switching it off, I don't bothered. I mean, the only time I do switch it off is when I'm treating. That's it.
Or when you're looking at the lamp.
Oh yeah. Or when you're having a good stare at bulb. Yeah, that's a good idea. Do always switch it off then as well. Let's have a quick catch up. Oh, sorry, I was going to bring these up, wasn't I? I'm sat there thinking, which way? That way. Share the screen. What do you reckon, guys? Because these,
They're sweet. They are quality.
this. I ain't never seen this one before. I've got no idea what it is, but it's an ugly little shit, whatever it is.
It is quality.
You can only just see it slightly moving. It's not that much. They don't really do all that much. I was wondering if that was perhaps maybe a midge larvae, as it's just kind of hatched or something, but I've got no idea. And the second one is no idea what that one is either. Play you bastard. Oh, Matt, what's he doing? I mean, this just looks like, I've not seen it, don't move like what you'd expect it to move like if it was costlier or it doesn't move right, does it?
No. My question.
You got the next one. That's the knock on the fish. Kind of looks like a bit of bruising, doesn't it? Like the blood's come to the surface.
Yeah, it's all basically. It was saying it was all its sensory points, and all of these sensory points have blood vessels, and it's the tips of them. They've done damage to those, and they're all popping out.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you've ever seen a fish when it's had a knock, when it's took like a gash off its gill side area. When they take it like a bit of a knock, you see that blood doesn't come up in everywhere, all over it all. It comes up in like little spots, very much like that. So more like a bit of a blood clot underneath the surface of the skin, so to speak.
Play that next one, guys. I'll tell you a story with this one with Rick.
The next one?
Yeah.
I don't think there is a next one, is there?
Yeah, the fluke.
Oh, the fluke one. That's before. Oh, that's an ugly bastard. Hang about this.
We were talking about the other ones.
That's an ugly shit as well.
And I sent it to Rick, and obviously we knew what it was, but I sent it to him because it's such a good example.
I mean, that is a clear, very clear fluke.
So what I see loads of are people, and particularly sending me videos of their ponds, their scrapes, and they're saying, "What do you reckon this is? Do you think it's a fluke?" And the fluke is not even 1/10 of that size, 1/20 of that size. And it's like the Costia and Trichodina would be different, but the Costia would be in respective in the size to that, one of those little black dots.
Well, like one of these. So, yeah.
Probably not even, yeah, the little ones.
The tiny, tiny little dots would be the size of what you've got as Costia in comparison to the size of the fluke that you can see there. But this is type of fluke, Matt?
Nobody else knows why I'm laughing. That's a skin fluke, and it's a live bearer, and you can see. So,
If you look, you can actually see. If you look on, right, hang about. Let's see if we can pause it where you get the perfect.
so Gaz, skin flukes, are they male or female?
Well, this was the question that we went into, and as it happens, I were asking him. I thought, hang about. Is there a male? Is there a Mr. Fluke and a Mrs. Fluke, or are they? What's the word?
You said it.
Hermaphrodites, so that they can be both sexes, so that they can, like a slug, can be both sexes, so that they can two can get together and reproduce regardless, no matter what. And as it happens, fluke are
But
both sexes.
what I have seen, and I don't know the answer to this, but I can presume by what I've seen in the past, flukes only give their live bearers, but they only give birth to one offspring. Because I've only ever seen a fluke with one offspring inside.
And as you can see there, guys, which leads us perfectly into this bit there. If you look here, you can see the two little hooks, one just there, and then the second one just there. And if you look inside the fluke's body, you can see the hooks of its young. They're ugly bastards, man. Aren't they? They are literally like some out of Alien. Not unisex, Dave.
When I sent it to Rick and said, look how clear this one is, and he come back, mate, can you imagine if they were like twice as big and you were back in the dinosaur ages? It would be horrific, wouldn't it?
Yeah, ugly bastards, man, aren't they?
Yeah. And I said, well, you imagine if it was 3 inches big and attached to your penis, you'd be shitting yourself.
There you go, Dave. The term is hermaphrodite, means both sexes. But unisex is something like a jumper that could be for him or for her.
But they must multiply really quickly, wouldn't they? Because if they are only giving birth, I presume it's giving birth to one at a time, the next one must come through quick for them to multiply the way that they do.
Yeah. They're ugly shits, man. Proper ugly. And at the time, I'll show you this one. At the time when I was asking questions about the flukes, I sent that back to Matt, which he returned back to me. You bastard! I'm sweating my bollocks off of you.
It was a bloody hot day that was, and I was sweating the bollocks off trying to get round to everybody.
But look, there you go. Gaz's babies. But there's a few more accents then. Sorry, Colin. I know this is a koi channel, or you probably don't want to see any ducklings, but they still swim on water, same as fish do. But yeah, there you go. I mean, anybody any idea what those other two were? Because I've never seen anything like that before.
Rick just put him down to, would it be nice if we knew everything?
Yeah. Surprised, mate. I thought it would. I thought it would have had a bit of an idea. Right then. Got a little bit of a couple of participation bits for you guys. Quick one, and we'll start this one off, and then obviously, Matt, I want to know which you prefer out of these, and then we'll let everybody have a bit of a natter and have a chat about it and see what they think. Which out of you guys, which do you prefer? Do you prefer the kahaku versus the shower? Which would you prefer?
Would help if you spent kahaku right.
Oh, fuck off.
No, I'm joking. I'm winding you up, Gaz.
You knob. Have that. Which do you prefer, Matt? If you had a choice, and that right, these can be from any breeder, any dealer, or whoever you think, wherever you wanted from UK, or whether you wanted them from Japan, wherever. Which would you, if you had a choice, which would you prefer out of the two?
Kohaku, 100%.
Oh, surprising.
Definitely.
You would.
I think because the Kohaku is more, how would you say it, more controlled on the colour. So a shower can be very, unless it's a really extremely good one, Kohaku is a defined pattern, where the Kohaku can be, you wouldn't get a Kohaku that's only got the Benny and defined lines and the shower defined lines without any minor sumi coming up.
Yeah, you're not going to get any secondary coming up on it, are you? On a Kohaku? Well, you might do actually. That's probably a bullshit statement. I just made that because it does. But you're not going to get a great deal change or go wrong with a Kohaku in comparison to a shower.
Yeah,
54% to 46%.
But I think if you pick a shower at a toe size stage, and he is the quality that you would love him to be at a Nisai or Sansai age, you've got a good eye. Because it's real difficult at a toe size
to pick a shower to read it. And that's, just to be fair, mate, that's something that I really would like to be able to do more. To be able to pick a fish and think, oh, yeah, I can see where that's going to go. I can see how that might develop. But that was one of the things. Paul, I've just noticed that you're... currently Kohaku he's put in there, but I've just noticed you've joined in on that one, mate. Rick's not with us tonight, so we're going to have a look at your fish, mate, but we're going to go back to him again next week when he is back so that we can have a bit of a natter and a chat and get the info that you were requiring, mate, but we're going to look at him regardless anyway. So that was the first one, and we're looking... That surprised me. See, look, I should have put in all three, shouldn't I? I should have put in all Gosanke. Now, if... I don't think I can add it. I can't. No. Well, it is. It is what it is. I should have added in the additional third one for the Gosanke range. And if anybody out there that is watching that's wondering what I mean by Gosanke, well, Gosanke is made up of Sanke, Showa, and Kohaku, and that's what they class them all as. But yeah, I'm surprised that actually with 126 people watching, we've got 19 votes. And so far, 19 votes. Come on, guys. It's not that much to type in. Well, I suppose if you're watching your TV, it might be a bit of a bastard to actually do it. But Showers took it 53% to 55% now to 45%. So more people in favour of the Showa than the Kohaku. Surprised me that. I actually thought the Kohaku would have been the one that would have took it more than the Showa because of the more difficult nature of a Showa for reading and picking when most people purchase and buy them as a smaller fish to grow them on to develop. A lot more difficult to do with a Showa than what it is with a Kohaku. Not saying that they're not one or the other's easier, but you've got more of an idea of what your Showa is going to look like Tosai going into Nisai than what your Showa, your Kohaku is going to look like, than what your Showa is going to look like, because it could be some varieties could be 2 to 3 years, 4 years before you're going to see it fully developed and being what it's actually going to be. Interesting. 54% and a total.
When you think with the Gosanke range as well,
28 votes.
It'd be interesting to see if the quality was always going to be banging. So whether you picked the Gosanke, a banging one, or a non-Gosanke banging quality, which would you prefer? A Gosanke or something else?
For me now, mate, I'd go non-Gosanke and have a banging quality single colour than any. Only because of probably what I'm probably thinking of that of what I've got in my pond. I would like now, if I were going to buy something, it would be a single coloured nice piece as opposed to a pattern fish again. Because I just don't have any luck with them. I buy something that I think is going to be a really nice fish, for example, the Goshki Sankey, when really now I could just cut that certificate up and chuck it in bin because it meant naff all the grand scheme of things coming from a top dealer like Odacan. The fish turn to shit, but that's koi keeping, isn't it? It happens. But buying young should you if you want a quality piece, then Matt, if you want a quality fish, should you buy them as a tosai, or should you wait till you and put that little bit more money in it so that you can guarantee a little bit more looking fish?
It's not though, is it? If you buy a tosai and take the gamble, or you wait until it's a nisai and buy it as a quality piece, it's not a small margin of difference.
No, it's a massive difference.
It's
if you were talking maybe a tosai, you might be looking at, depending on the quality, depending on the breed, but you might be looking at like 175 quid for a decent, nice shower, nice kahaku. And then if you were talking up to a nisai, you could be talking anything then from 500 to 795, whatever, and more, depending on the quality.
Even higher than that,
etc. Bloodline. Yeah, there's a massive step up from that one to the next, isn't there?
So I always do a bit in the polytunnel, and I let people go in there, and it is technically fish that I want to grow on for the whole summer. If there's a fish in there that somebody likes, I always work on a 50-50 risk. So if today the Shiros I've got down there, if they're worth today's margin as a collective average, let's say £200 each, but after a year of growing, when they're going to be 40 cm and obviously they're going to be good because I've kept them for the whole year, they're £1,000. I always try to go middle for diddle. So I've made more than what that fish is worth at that stage. But if I'd kept it to the end of the year, I've lost money.
Yeah. So you bang it out maybe around 500 mark, depending.
Yeah. And I think for everybody, that's a fair one because, I'll hold on to it to the end of the year. But if it goes the way that I expect it to go, you ain't going to be buying it for £500.
Yeah.
But that way, I think everybody then takes a risk because it may go backwards. And that's one of the gambles you do. It's a bit like when you get the people message and say, have you got any quality? I want a perfect tancho, but I only want to spend about £100 and it can be 4 to 6 inches. They don't exist. They just don't exist. And there's a reason.
Does technically the perfect tancho ever exist? If we're truthful? It's more manipulated to become the perfect tancho. Few and far between, are there? A perfect one spawned.
So, at a show, would a non-perfect tancho potentially do better against a perfect tancho when you could tell that at some point or another, whether it be here in the UK or in Japan, it had been played with? I don't know. Mr. Tateson, and he could give. Would you favour a more genuine looking spot to a perfect looking spot? But the thing is, I know he probably what he probably would say to this would be, if it's too perfectly looking, then it's manipulated and it would be disqualified anyway. I would have thought. You'd like to think. That's what I think you'd probably say, but I don't know. Good evening, Doctor. Hope you're well. There we go. There's the first one. The first little one in there. Bit of a surprise. I actually thought Kaku would have taken that, but Showa being the more favourite. You're right, Richard. They most certainly are, but are they? Next one then. Seeing as we got such a great participation in that one, I'm going to ask you all this one and see what you think.
and I'm going to ask you, Matt, as well. This is questions for you. Well, it's for us. What do koi fish symbolise to you? So let's have that one. What does a koi fish symbolise to you? Luck and prosperity, strength and perseverance, peace and calm.
I'll tell you what, I can answer it what koi don't, and that's peace and calm. There is
That's why I thought I'd sneak that one. I thought I'd sneak that one in, mate, because a lot of people keep fish, keep koi, keeping everything else for a reason, and a good majority of people keep them to keep you calm. And it was what's the gentleman's name? I forgot his. He always does like funny little gags and stuff about koi keeping on. Oh, shit, what's his channel called? He does it on Facebook, in his koi competitions blog. But man, some of his stuff that he puts in, I took up koi keeping because it was supposed to be calm and relaxing. And now the thing that stops me from being calm and relaxed is keeping koi because of all hassle that they get from keeping them. But I mean, there we go. That surprised me. Luck and prosperity.
The amount of customers I get, and literally I can make a lot of money every time if they paid me, always comment, I thought koi was supposed to be enjoyable, stress-free, and not expensive. It's like, nah, I forgot to warn you of that one at the beginning.
Yeah, there's nothing cheap about keeping koi. It only takes a problem with parasites, and then all of a sudden you're treating, and now treatments cost more and more and more. But that's peace and calm, by which I mean the vast majority of people that keep them for peace and calm is to make sure that they're a calming environment for them something to enjoy hobby-wise. You got your strength and perseverance. That might be more towards the Japanese theme of things. And then obviously the luck and prosperity is Japanese based, more of what they would associate with the keeping of koi. And the beauty and art, I would have thought that would have aimed more towards you guys that were showing or into the showing side of things, which we've got quite a mixed variety of answers there. Luck and prosperity of 5%, peace and calm of 50%, and beauty and art of 45%. One thing I think we could say about two of them for definite, peace and calm, they all bring us peace and calming effect of having running water within your environment of your garden, the natural zen that you get from that type of thing, 100%. Beauty and art, you can say, are in with all koi. No matter how expensive or how cheap, there is beauty within them all. And it's something that we can appreciate. And I suppose you could class that as art because it definitely covers that category, doesn't it? What do you think? What's your truthful thing? Or do you go out there and look at your fish and think, peace and calm? Or do you look and think, look at that beautiful piece of art?
I would say beauty and art, definitely. When you go out there and you can actually see them. Yeah. If everything, I get it. I'm stressed because I'm not just looking after my fish here and lots of them. I'm looking after my customers' ones. And their stress always comes back to me. Like you got one at the moment, new pond, going through new pond syndrome. And I ain't kidding you. I'm lucky because he will not be watching this. But I get a reading every single morning, every single night of all of his ammonia, nitrite, KH, pH, and what's the last one? Oh, and his temperature of the pond. Every single morning, generally from about 7 o'clock to 7:15, and then 6:15 to 6:30, every single day. And I'm doing.
Do you think that's more of a case though, Matt? Because some of your customers, not only do you develop a customer relationship with them, you also develop a friendship with them. And then you switch from the koi dealer, koi provider, whatever, to somebody that they can confide in, somebody they can enjoy that hobby with, and somebody that they can mull that over with and talk about things and talk about stuff that they're thinking about doing, because you've established a friendship through that too.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know who it was yesterday. I said Oh, somebody that wanted a box liner, and he was from Wales. But when I heard him on the answer machine, he sounded Irish. And he phoned, he messaged, and he said, "Can I give you a call? I need some questions answered about the liners." I said, "Yeah, of course you can, but please speak slowly. One, I'm deaf. One, I'm deaf in one ear, and two, I can't understand the bloody word you Irish say." And he come back and he said, "Well, that's good because I'm Welsh." But he came on the phone and he said, "You know what, mate? I've had such a laugh tonight." And I said, "And that's why I love it, because everybody, whether you be a customer, actually, I'm leading myself in the hole there, whether you be a customer or a friend, everybody ends up the same at the end of it as a friend." And they do.
To me, mate, that's what business should be. That's how it should be. Not only should you have a good reoccurring business from your clientele, but they should be able to approach on every form and every level. And that way, then you also gain a little bit of, I would say, more trust, more returning custom, and the friendship from it. I mean, to me, that's what you should strive to achieve with all your clients, no matter what you do. I'm not talking coil related or business, any business. When you're working or doing what you're doing for somebody, you should be doing it to your best of your capabilities to provide them with whatever you want, and that they come back to you time and time again. And inevitably, with that type of reoccurring business, friendships normally sprout from it. So,
yeah, and I always say to everybody, I'm technically a hobbyist, but it's just taking it to another level. And I don't do it because I need to make a living. I do have my overheads, so I do need to cover that. But I do it because I love the interaction.
sorry, look at this one. You should have put another. Put a fifth card. Stressing me. I was trying not to be negative, because sometimes, a lot of time, you can end up being, conversations like these on these types of shows and what have you. There can be a lot of negative to it, and I don't want to be all that negative all the time. So I try not to, Tina, but I agree. There can be a lot of stress, and it can be a lot. I mean, for some people, and some of the stuff that they go through, and I've seen it on YouTube and I've seen it through friends. Some of it can be soul destroying. To lose your hobby, your pastime, or to have a complete wipeout throughout your system can be, detrimental to people's mental health.
Yeah, well, I had a customer tonight actually turn up to pick up a pump. He had moved home. He had a big swimming pool. He moved all his fish over to his new house. He was chuffed to nuts that they'd all made it, and he'd done a good job at moving them all over. Had the pump going last night, got up this morning, and he was like, "That's weird, I can't hear the water." Went out there, every single fish, 35 fish, and one survivor, all 35 dead.
Yeah.
God.
I mean, I can remember it as clear as day. I must have been about 13. And I've never seen my dad break. I've seen it twice. The first time I saw my dad break were when all his fish, and they were all good sized fish, mate. They were, vast majority of them were 50, 55, 60 cm, good sized fish. And when that cement went in his pond, I've never seen my dad shed a tear ever in my entire life. But on that day, we both did, because we were genuinely gutted. And to see him and watch him break like that from that, there's only one other thing that's broke him since that, and that was when he got cancer and he thought he was going to go. And that's the only two times in my entire life when I've seen my dad break down. But yeah, it can be totally devastating.
The other time was when you were born, Gaz.
Like
that, and he went,
No.
"Oh no!"
The other time when he got my school reports, mate, he probably cried into his pint every time he got one of them. Well, there we go. So we've got on from that one, peace and calm, kind of like almost a 50-50 split between peace and calm and beauty and art. And I think I've got to agree with that. To me, luck and prosperity, that would be the more of the Japanese type of theme to it, but thought we were well worth sticking that one in and seeing what you all thought about it. Right, I'll start that one then. Told you these would generate a couple of little topics to talk about, didn't I? And we'll remove that one. Next one then, guys, which we've got, and when we've gone through these polls and we've got these little bits, just gives a little bit of participation for you guys and a little bit of something for you to have a think about. Let's see. We'll go with this one. And I know there's somebody in here that'll like this one, because I know he does nothing but tinker. Do you think homemade filters are good enough or buying ready-made? And this is because of what you do, Matt, and what you actually sell products for, filters and everything else, and what you actually use and on a day-to-day basis sell to your customers. That one there at the bottom, you have both systems already.
Yeah, but you look at my main pond. I'm literally going to take it into an IBC filter. Three of them all in a line. And it'll be IBC filters.
Madness, because I do listen week in, week out when you say what you're going to do and what you're going to add. So, I mean, having a system, buying a system, or having both, or building your own system, but nobody said no. Not one no. And I do think that's because a lot of people that do the hobby enjoy the tinkering side of it too.
Yeah.
And enjoy making a little bit of something and making a little bit of their own stuff to run alongside what is primarily quite expensive pieces of kit to use.
Yeah.
Saving a few quid where you can by making something like that a great big IBC, filter system to add to it.
Yeah. The only difference is obviously it's going to have a drum at the front end to take all of those particles away from going into the IBC.
Yeah. But I mean, you could have easily, well, not easily, maybe not for that scale of what you're doing, but you on a pond size scale, you could have easily made a filter system to do that beforehand. The reason for this kind of question, mate, guys, is the likes of what Rick's doing, the likes of what Matt's doing, what they're going to be producing and what they're going to be making, and the systems that I've seen in places where I've worked, where they've got homemade systems, simple systems that are effective and do the job. Is it necessarily? Is there a real need to go out there on a massive, great big pond that I'm talking about? Somebody that might have 20 or 30 absolutely mint showpieces. You won't expect them guys to be making their own filtration system to run on that. You'd expect those guys they've got the very best of fish, they've got the very best of filtration systems, they've got the very best of food, they've got the very best of heating systems, because they're top end of what they're doing and what of the hobby, so to speak. But for your average garden tinkerer, your average garden pond keeper, which for me and my channel is what I aim to, and I aim to attract, is people that like to keep fish simple. Having a mixture of both systems, most people do have. Having the capabilities, if you're not, if you're capable of making your own filtration, why the hell not? Save yourself some money. My system works perfectly fine, and I make it all myself. Is there problems with it? Yeah, for damn sure there is. Is there things where I could make improvements? Yeah, for sure there is. Will I be doing? Yes, in time I will do. Would I ever not think about buying a more expensive, simple system that's already pre-built? I think in years to come, when it gets a little bit more difficult to do what I'm doing, then yeah, I will switch over to that type of system. But for now, as I am, and I think for simplicity, the younger generation would enjoy the tinkering side of things. The older generation might be leaning more towards purchased equipment of a better, higher quality to make life more simple in the future.
But what you say the older generation, which I'm always which I'm always getting into now.
Well, to be fair, mate, we're not spring chickens, are we? But I'm still capable now at present, right? The overflow system, when I flush all mine out, is behind the back of my fence. To get to that, I have to spring jump up onto the top of my fence, climb over, put my hand on top of my shed, and jump and drop over behind the back, just to make sure that it's all clear and all the water flows away and goes to waste. In years to come, when I get to perhaps maybe my dad's age, I ain't going to be able to do that. So there's going to have to be some changes and alterations made to where that's a little bit more easier for an older gentleman to be able to achieve.
But that's the layout, not the item.
Yeah,
in question. Yeah. And I think
the filter system that I've got is quite simple to maintain. But when I'm 70, will I want to be out there rinsing off jack matting and doing a weekly wash down and cleaning it like that when I could just let it all trickle through on a jet system and blast it all through and clean it through?
I don't know whether you can remember the story that we had a customer down in Weymouth, and he was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and he was really poorly with it, and his pond was in a right old state. And we arranged that over the weekend that they were going to take him away for the weekend, and myself and Pam went down and we put in a drum filter in front of his 4-chamber filter. And he came back on the Sunday night. They videoed it, him walking in the garden, and the poor chap just broke down in tears because, like he had said, for the first time in months, he had actually seen his pond. It cleared it over the 48 hours. And then when he did, he fought it and fought it and fought it. And it was about 9 months later that he did die. And she said, right, obviously he's gone now. We need to sort out the pond. Can you come and dismantle it? And I expected to go down because I hadn't been back to that pond for 9 months. I expected to go back and have one hell of a messy multi-chamber. Yeah. It was going to be in a real bad state. And honestly, that multi-chamber, we drained it down, brought it back here. We didn't even have to clean it. It was spotless. And he hadn't touched it at all for 9 to 12 months. So
and
even
the drummer managed to maintain the pond and everything on its own, being just left running in situ.
Yeah, and it was like what Rick has always said, like on his filters, he's got so much aquatic life inside his filters, they're self-cleaning. And basically that's what was in there. So when we opened it all up, all you could see was loads and loads of water fleas moving around in the filter chamber, and they were picking up on the excess that was in there. But it was literally crystal clear, the pond, no issues whatsoever. And
I mean, you can understand the simplicity of it being like that. For the reason, the reason for this kind of thing and the topic that we're, talking about now. It's like, for example, with my dad now, with his dementia, it is becoming more difficult, and I know it would tear a hole in his soul to take that pond away from him. So do we make it more simple? Do we put a more advanced filtration system on there? It's not, money's not an issue, not a problem. But again, at the same time, if I do that, will that then stop him from having something to concentrate on, something to do and something to take care of and something to get up for and to do? You know what I mean? So there is elements of it you can understand why some people might do, but there's also reasons why I don't want to make too many changes for him to make it different, so that there's change and he takes something else away from him. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a difficult one for him for that situation. But I understand the simplicities of a drum for anybody that's like, for example, where my pond's situated now as it is. Am I going to be comfortable balancing around on that far side edge when I need to get around there to do something, or make alterations and changes to make it more suitable for me as I get older? So,
yeah, and I can imagine it's a very safe place either, Gus. You're on your own out there.
I mean, worst case scenario, I'm going to get wet up to balls. That's about as bad as it's going to get. Or I'm going to get completely soaking wet if I fall in completely. But it's not like I can't stand up and I'll be all right. But
Or you
never
smack,
know, yeah. Slipping
or
on your head on a rock as you're going in. Job done, isn't it?
I was going to say, unless you smack your head on the way in, and then you're in trouble then.
But that's good to see. That's good to see that we've got. Do you think they're good enough? 26%, yes. Do you have both systems already? 74% says that one. But there's not one single person that thinks a homemade filter system isn't good enough. And I agree. Interesting on that. Again. Right, there we go. Start that one. I'll remove that. Now then. Simple one, guys. This is not too technical and not too complicated. But how far would you go if you could? Your dream pond, Matt. Have you noticed that a lot of these have been kind of aimed around what I know has been going on and I know what people are doing. And the reason why I say is because somebody made his dream pond, great big massive thing, and now he's got 29 ton of stuff to fill it back up to make it to a more manageable sort of level. So your dream pond, you got a small and simple, medium garden pond, or a luxury pond, or would you be interested in going with a full Japanese landscape? Because the reason why that one's in is I've seen a gentleman that keeps posting it on Facebook, and his garden is absolutely stunning. And he's gone with the full throughout Japanese theme throughout his whole garden, and it looks mint. Absolutely lovely.
It's funny, isn't it? Because when you see those and all the textbook negatives that you get, don't have rocks in your pond, don't have this, don't do that, don't do this.
Oh, got it.
And they've got it.
Oh, got it. Even like when you look at Japan gardens and some of the actual great big fancy, what they call them, what's the word when they preserve an area for nature and nature reserve and all that type of stuff. There's loads of them in Japan, and the landscaping on them and the ponds that they've done there, they've all got rocks and stuff in them and everything, all, cascading the stepping stones and everything, and to go with the old traditional.
We've just won a job that we got to start, I think, the 1st of June. And that is literally one of these ponds. So I'm doing it in cahoots with another company, a landscape gardener. And they basically want a stream going through the garden, going into a bigger pond filled with koi, and then coming out as a stream, back feeding, going back up underground, back up into his garage, through the filtration system, back in. And I'm like, I'll do it because that's what you want to do. But yeah, it's total opposite to what we would normally see.
But there's another one that's going to come in pond related again after this one. But small and simple, and everybody starts there, and everybody thinks the pond's not fucking big enough, so you build another one, and then you've not gone big enough again, so you end up normally going from the small and simple to the medium, and then you end up going from the medium to the large luxury pond, and then from that, some people go the full hog and do the full Japanese landscape, and the reason being, well, yeah, I think once you get into the hobby, you get kind of like it overtakes. I should have, Alan should have put that one in free and let too. But yeah, if you were going to have your own, Matt, what would you do? Forget company side of it, your own. Would you go for something small, simple, medium garden pond, large luxury pond, or would you go for a full-on Japanese theme?
No, if I could, Japanese theme would be lovely, but in reality, I think if I was going to do a pond just solely for myself or for us to enjoy, it would be a 20,000 litre pond, and that would be it. Definitely.
A straight square 20,000 litre pond, and that'd be it.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's like the pond, our main pond is 85,000 litres of water. So you imagine if, say, Fluke X, a packet comes as 20,000 litres. So you imagine going dunk with a whole packet, dunk, with a packet, dunk with a whole dunk with a whole packet, and then doing a scrape after 7 days and finding flukes and going dunk,
another packet.
Dunk. Yeah, and you think, oh, that's all right. And then 2 weeks later, you see a bit of flash and do another scrape and you've got flukes again. Like, what the hell?
That's the difficult thing, in it. When no matter what you do, as soon as you introduce, even if you quarantine and whatever, or you go into it, or you bring a new fish in, or you bring new stock in, you're always going to get parasites. Yeah. And parasites are always going to be a problem and an issue. And in these big, full-on luxury garden ponds, or your full-on Japanese landscape, the more volume of water, the more costly it comes to treating it. And that is a lot of times people go big, as you said, go big or go home, but don't actually realise when you've got a big system like that, that's a lot of water to turn over, it's a lot of stuff to move, it's a lot of fish to treat, it's a lot of fish to feed, and it's an escalating bill, isn't it? But we are talking about a dream pond here, though. So, if you're dreaming that big, then surely you should be able to dream the cash.
I was going to say, if you're dreaming big and putting on the man pants, you would have a lake. And you would,
I mean, Alan's got one, isn't it? I mean, but does it, Alan, there's a question for you. You've got a lake. Does it bother you not seeing your fish? Or do you still get to see them? Do they come to you for feeding, like you see them in a mud pond in Japan? Do they actually come up to you to an area where you can see them and feed them? Or do they just go in the lake and disappear off until next time you net it off to find them?
Will Alan share a picture or video of his pond? I would love to see.
I'm sure he has done it before. It passed, to be fair. I think he has. I know he has. Well, I know he's got a lake. I don't know how many he actually has. I don't know if it's got more than one. But yeah, the full 54% of people say a full Japanese landscape. Out of curiosity, guys, yes or no in comments. Would any of you go for a traditional English garden with your big sort of landscaped rather than it being a Japanese theme? Would you stick to more traditional English country garden with a landscaped pond on a big scale, like a Japanese theme?
And talking Japanese gardens, thank you to Marco. If you want any acers, go to your local B&M. They got massive big acers that are 2.5, 3 feet tall for £12.50.
Have they really?
Yeah, we went down at the weekend because Marco sent me a video of his up in Glasgow. Went to our local one in Weymouth and they had them there, £12.50, and we filled up a whole trolley of them.
I might have to go down and have a look, mate, because I actually do want another one. Automatic feeding, they normally see them when I load the feeder. Oh, so that's cool. I mean, they do come back and interact with you, so they do come up to feed it. Nice, sweet. So you could be like Mr. Tate and have a lake as well. We got Tony Farmer McCoy that says yes, he would go for the traditional English country garden. So with Alan F as well, and Ian Jacks also.
Am I being stupid, but what is English traditional garden?
Well, when you're going with the Japanese theme, most people seem to put in like the torii gates, the bonsais and everything else. The sand where you'd make the daily thing where you change it and alter it all up to, put all the pattern in. I don't know what that's called, but it's got some type of no Buddhas. And that type of stuff. Where you've got all like your traditional Japanese pieces, where I would say your traditional English country garden would be more of wildflower meadows with a rockery coming down through it, with a cascading waterfalls into a pool, with a nice lawn to the side of it, maybe an apple orchard and all that kind of shit going around it.
Apple orchard. See, when you say it, I picture a Bramley apple or a cider making tree. apple
It's
tree.
like you see on like the garden shows that we have in the UK, where a lot of Japanese plants don't necessarily do too well in an English garden, but you can use stuff that have got that Japanese theme that look similar but aren't technically Japanese, but still give that vibe. And the reason why I say that is I've seen a lot of Japanese themed gardens that they use different shrubs and bushes to imitate that type of thing. But they would have, like, your Japanese gardens might have the stepping stones across it to simulate the koi swimming up the river and all prosperity and all the rest of it and that type of thing.
I wonder how many ponds over in Japan. I know somebody actually said about it when we were going over in February. Do you think you'll be able to put a day in going around visiting the public and showing their ponds? And it sounds lovely, doesn't it? To go around, imagine going around all these different towns looking at their ponds. I wonder how many of the Japanese ponds are traditional Japanese ponds that we picture, or whether they look like English ponds.
Well, that's what I mean. A lot of people go when you've got like your above ground ponds, in ground ponds, and they go with the red and black theme and all the rest of it. And when you're over there, you don't really see a great deal of that, do you?
Well, we didn't, because you got bloody 8 feet of snow.
Yeah, to be fair, from my experience, yeah, from what I saw too, we just covered with like 8 foot of snow too. So everything was white, but tires, etc.
I wonder whether there is a difference to the ponds to the north and the south, because obviously the south doesn't get the snow to the level that the north does.
Oh, check that out. Sorry, quickly going to share this. Look at that. Little bonsai in full blossom.
Oh, look at that. That is smart.
If you can have the Japanese theme, you'd have to have the cherry blossom for spring as well and all that kind of thing if you were going with a full-on Japanese theme. That looks nice, doesn't it? Very nice. Thanks for sharing, mate. Right, so full-on Japanese. A lot of people would go for the full-on Japanese theme then. Zuki Azalea, if I pronounce that right. Luke, I hope I did. Luke's Bonsais on YouTube watching your live. This is currently in bloom on our pond. Yeah. See, I have no luck with them things, me, mate. Every bonsai I've ever had, I've killed it. The only one I haven't managed to kill is the plastic Lego one I've got there on my fish tank and a wired one in my garden. And even the pot on that one's gone to shit, to be fair. Cheers, Luke. Appreciate it for sending that in, mate. Right then, next one. So we're going for full-on Japanese landscapes, taking the lead with that one. Luxury garden pond, medium bean, but nobody went with the small one. And the obvious reasons behind that one is you always end up making it bigger. So stop that, Paul. There's method to the madness. Right, next one then. Quick, simple, easy one again, guys. Which would you prefer? If you were going to do it, if you were going to build a pond tomorrow, which would you go for? What type of pond? In ground or above ground? I'm gonna get a lot of hate on this one.
You're gonna go in ground, aren't you?
I'm gonna say in ground 100% because I already have a fish tank and I won't want another one in my garden. And that's the only reason. I can see the appeal, but for all those people now, how many are you there now that are answering that with an above ground? Said you would have a traditional Japanese full-on themed garden. Out of curiosity, because if you are, your pond should be in the ground.
So what is mine then? So my dream here at the back of the house is our bank. We've got a rear patio that's below ground level, a wall, and then the slope that goes up over the back. So we want to dig a hole, but have the top bit at ground level. But because the patio is down below a glass window.
It's kind of
it's a bit of both.
It's a bit of both. Above,
yeah.
But I could see the theme of that one. I could do that with mine. I could bring it up out the ground a little bit to give it a bit more depth and to make it a little bit more safer. Because it's not worse than having an in-ground pond and having your granddaughter was just in there now with my wife, all my grandsons. I spent last weekend with my boys, my grandsons up here, and I spent all weekend going, stay away from edge, man, stay away from edge. To the point where, can we feed them, Papa? My grandkids call me Papa. So can we feed fish, Papa? So we're bending down on floor. And because obviously I naturally get straight down and put my knees on stones, so rather than kneeling on the blue slate at the sides, the kids are wanting to copy me. And I'm shitting myself then because they're leaning over edge at pond and I'm thinking, one slip here, the mum's outside of me, granddad's just dropped one of the kids in pond and I'm going to get it left, right and centre from her side of me giving it, what are you doing, Dad? You should watch your kids. But there's other reasons for me, and people have mentioned it already. Coley koi is putting, koi is supposed to be seen from above. Now, the whole pattern, the whole structure of a koi is to be appreciated from the top down. Hence the reason why most of the pattern doesn't exist below lateral line.
What about the
It's what apart from the Aragoki. Well, but okay, if we're going to say apart from the Aragoki's a cull, so they normally wasn't produced until the Japanese started making shit ton more extra money out of us by supplying us with all the stuff that they used to just get rid of. So if you took that one out of the aspect and went back to traditional pattern, fish should be viewed from above. But there's people, I can guarantee you, there's people there now that have answered to that one with a 73% above ground pond, that went and said they would love to have a full-on Japanese themed garden. Well,
good point.
There isn't a single full-on Japanese themed garden with a pond above ground. They're all in ground.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be interesting to see how many Japanese ponds have got a glass window.
Yeah, none that I would have thought. But again, it's what we do, innit? We put our own little spin on it. We make things our own way. There's a lot of people out there that do have what I would consider a rather large fish tank in the garden. You know, rectangular shaped in theory, and then you've got a big window for viewing them. Don't get me wrong, guys. I understand and I appreciate it completely. This is just, it was a second question to bounce off the first one to see how many people might have turned around and thought, I'd have an above ground pond. But I guarantee you that there are. Richard Bradbury says you are right. So he actually went with an above pond, but he also wanted to have the full-on Japanese theme. And every one of those fancy gardens that they've got out over there in Japan, there ain't one of them you're going to see that's built up out of ground with a window in it so that you can view the fish from square on. Interesting. Gaz, in this dream pond, would there be there'd be no fecking herons, mate, in this dream pond? 100%. They wouldn't exist. Do you know what? Today I turned my PC on. And do you know what fecking Windows 11 put up as a rotational, they put your rotational screensavers on. Do you know what they put on today? I shit you not, a fecking heron stood at the side of a lake, and I thought, you're just taking piss with that one. So I instantly deleted it and removed it. There's no way I was going to be looking at a heron as a screensaver for a day when they put that on. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, you bastards. Put me on a heron on my desktop screensaver. So a quick look through. 2, but you have a build with both. No way says both. Most of mine is in the ground. There's only 2 foot above ground. People going with like a 50-50. So in the garden now above in a dream property, a bigger garden in the ground. Mine is a 3 foot by 2 foot, and grandfather feeds koi, no bother. Yeah, it's probably more, Tina. It's probably more me worrying being overprotective granddad as opposed to that I'm actually going to jump in there. We actually got to a point where me and my youngest grandson, and Noah, we actually sat there hand feeding, dropping pellets and Chag and the Karashi guy coming up and sucking on his fingers. So he were over the moon, man. He loved it. Thought it were absolutely brilliant.
Just looking at Sean's comment there about the Asagi then.
Sean's
Comment about the Asagi. The Benny is below the lateral line, isn't it?
It's not a pattern, is it?
Well, true. I like that one.
Pulled a hole in your theory there, Sean. It's not a pattern, is it? The pattern's above, which is the robing.
So if you turned up at a show and you didn't have any Benny below the lateral line on the Asagi, what would happen? Is that good or bad?
I reckon it'd be a very. I reckon it'd be a bad one. Traditionally, I'm only saying that's how they was designed. That's how they was brought up. Right, I've missed loads of comments, and I apologise if I've missed anyone. We've got one here. Question: PP and salt. Need to know when and at what level you can PP, i.e. 3, 5, 6, 7, as in 0.3, 0.5, sorry, 0.3, 0.5, 0.6, I'm guessing you're meaning. I've seen it being used at 0.3 and I've seen it being used at 0.6. I'm not saying you should, but
I think 0.3 is the recommended maximum limit that you should go to. But yes, you are right, Gaz. I've done it at 0.6 and had no real effect. But
that's
it depends on the temperature, because the salt will reduce the oxygen in the pond, and then obviously the PP adding to the pond will reduce the oxygen levels as well. So it depends on your situation at that time.
But that's not us saying, mate, whatever you do and whatever you choose to do, you do so at your own work, at your own risk, mate. But I mean, I do know that at 0.3, it's safe to use with salt. No, the other way around. PP with 0.3 salt is safe to use. I think that's what they class as the maximum kind of level that you should use it at. Well, the polls that we've done, Matt, people have been well impressed with them.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. All 30-odd, 5 people that left whilst we started doing them. But each to their own. That one's done. Right. I think we've got one more. And the last one being, I think, is there one more? Oh, yeah. Well, there's 2 more, sorry. 2 more. And this is just to find out what, how, where, and which way you would do it. We'll go with this one, and then we've got one more after. Unboxing and acclimatization. How do you do it? How do you do yours? Float the bag and then release the fish. By that, I mean float the bag, then release the fish out of said bag and add it to your pond. Number 2, this is difficult, mate. To do these polls, you're limited to how many words you can put in for each sentence to explain it properly. So floating the bag and then adding water into the bag to acclimate the fish, or floating and adding all the contents to the pond. Which is your choice? Which would you do? Which do you do?
So floating the bag and then floating the bag. Right, me too, but there's a bit missing from it. So yes, I would recommend that you add your pond water to the bag, but I wouldn't release the water back into your pond. I would take the fish from the water and add it to your pond once you acclimatized it to it.
Well, the reason for this one, I heard somebody make a statement the other day, and one of the statements that they made was they were collecting some fish and the bags were rather deflated. So they opened the bags and they re-inflated the bags. Now, I was under the impression that once you open a bag and you expose that bag to oxygen, it increases the amount of ammonia in that bag, especially when they've travelled a long distance. So would that not be really risky to re-oxygenate a bag before you took it back to your establishment to put it into your pond, or leave them in a semi-deflated bag?
I'd leave them in a semi-deflated bag. personally.
I thought that when you opened up a bag, there's a lot of ammonia in there, obviously, and that ammonia level, once tipped out, is quite bad and toxic towards the fish. So the quicker you can get them out of that environment after they've been floated and out of that ammonia and into your pond environment, the better, after they've acclimated up.
So, guys, you've seen enough of the bags. How many of them are deflated when they arrive in? When you
Quite
get
a lot,
them?
really. There's quite a lot of them that are deflated. And
what is the reason behind the fact that they're deflated?
Well, I would imagine the fish are consuming the oxygen.
No.
Well, there's oxygen in there that they've got to be consuming, aren't they?
Because they're put into the cargo hold. So
is that what it is? Is that what does it?
So the bags are deflated
because of the cabin pressure.
When they go into the cabin or go into the cargo, the pressure will expand the oxygen more.
Fucking hell, I didn't know that.
See, so they're under deflated for a reason.
So float in the bag and then release. So most people would float the bag. 18% of people would float the bag, by which I mean, if you floated the bag in your pond and you took the bag out and put it into a bowl, tip the fish out, take your fish out, put it into the pond. 18% of you would do that. Float the bag and then add water from your supply to that bag. And then when you've done, take that fish out, put it in your pond. Floating and adding all that surprised me, floating and adding all the contents, 6% of people would actually do that.
6% is probably only one person answered that.
I'll tell you, it is. One person actually said that. It is actually one person that said they would float and add all the contents.
So,
ideally,
if you've got a pond and Gaz that says only got my fish in it, and they've come over to me and bought some fish, taken the bag back to theirs, climatized it, are they safe then to release everything, the water and the fish, straight into the pond?
I would never do, regardless, no matter where I got it from.
Yeah,
I would never put anybody else's pond water in my pond.
But all those fish are coming from myself. So what difference?
Oh yeah, I appreciate that, but for me, no. Even if every fish in my pond come from your establishment, I would never put your water in my pond. But I would never do that with tropical fish if put them in a tank, ever. I would float them, acclimate them, and then I would take the fish out of, put it into a container, a vessel, koi bowl, whatever, and then I would take that fish out and put it straight into my pond. I wouldn't add the water. Some people say that you should do. So not only acclimating, you're also climatizing, which is to make the fish that you're putting in more comfortable with your parameters.
Again, if Rick was here, we would agree. I'm not saying because he's not here because he would confirm this. He takes them, and Vince would confirm it. He takes them from the lake, puts them into potentially water. Sometimes not. Well, no. In fact, from my memory, it's not even from the lake. You would then transport them up to his sorting shed and chuck them into tap water, and then from tap water, chuck them over into the holding ponds. And those fish are hardy. That's one good thing about the English koi. They go through shit before the customer gets them.
I've often watched it and thought, watching Rick's channel and what he does. They've been out there in a lake, pond, whatever you want to class it as, mud pond. He scoops them straight up into tanks by the bucket load and tips them straight in to tap water, brings them up from that tap water because obviously you get all that muck and all that rest of it, so the water becomes discoloured, and then gets Dave, Vince, and any other, the rest of the staff and everybody else there to get that actual vats ready, and they're taken out of that one and then put straight into them, and then they're graded through and put into other ones, depending on quality, size, whatever, and then they're taken from there and they're put straight into show ponds, sales ponds. So they get moved from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of water parameters from a space of an hour and a half, 2 hours. They're as hard as nails, and a lot not as delicate as what everybody seems to think. Hey, baby. So yeah, there we go. Most people would add a bit of water, and I'm guessing that is so that you can do it and do so to let not only acclimatize your fish too. Right then, what have I missed there? Tip, bag and koi in bowl after floating on the pond and remove the koi to pond. Yeah, float the bag in the pond, empty the fish into a bowl, lift the fish into the pond. That's the way I do it too, Paul. It's the way I've always done it, and that's the way Rick's koi are invincible. Surely the fish will still release some water from where they came from out of the gills. Very much doubt it. Not well, if they did, but it'll only be a very, very minimal amount. About. Yup, I do like Alan said. Like Alan said, just looking back, which way did I miss what Alan said?
It'd be interesting actually at the show at the National to see everybody transferring the fish from their bags that they're transported and putting them into the tanks, especially on the big ones, and in vice versa, taking them out of the tanks and taking them home.
Right, question then, on the back of that, for all those of you that show your fish, when you take your fish to the show, do you all take your fish out of the bag or float it on the bag in the ponds, in the vats, in the show vats, and you open your bag up and put a scoop of that water in every 10 minutes, whatever. Most people say you do it like, a couple of scoops full and then release your fish. Or you just go, right, my fish are here, they've acclimated, pop the bands, and in they go.
Con, Sean and Ollie, what are you going to do?
Vince, you're saying no, you don't acclimate the water in to your bag. You just float them and let them go. Your water going into your vat. Nobody else's fish is going in there other than your fish. No, home pond water into the vat. There we go. And none of yous do what you say you would do if you were adding a new fish into your pond. You don't parameter.
I do think there is a slight difference of adding that water into the vat because of what Vince is saying there, that you're not adding it to.
Yeah, so you take the fish out and then it goes into the vat, and that your water goes down a waste chute system.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? I'm just curious as to what people do, to what difference they would change, or what. Yeah, so the water, the fish comes out and then goes into the vat, and the water gets choked. But Paul says there, no, home pond water into the vat. So it's mad, isn't it? It's different things for different stuff. People use the show water just to go into the vat every time.
I think it all depends as well of how well they're travelled. If there's shit in the bag, you don't want to be putting that into your vat.
Just curious, isn't it? I'm just curious as to how things are done and to how people would do things and to what difference they would do in their own pond to a show vat and coming back again. I'm guessing none of you would put the show vat water back into your system when you return your own fish. But you don't climatize those fish with the water. In the Scottish show, the water is passed.
Yeah. What Alan's saying is what the textbook should be.
Through a VA. A VA? What does that mean? No, yeah. To be clear, none of the water which the koi have travelled in the show goes into the pond. I get you, mate. Nice one. Right then, I've got one for you. When you talk about cross-contamination, when you pick up a fish from a pond and you scoop it up, you pop it in your pond, you put the fish in, but you won't put the water in. What's the difference? The fish has come from that environment, so the contamination, if it's there, is on the fish. You put it in. So why wouldn't you put the water in?
Because you're saying no cross contamination. There's no other fish.
But that's the thing. When you're in, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm asking the question because there's only your fish going into that vat, and there's no other water from any other pond or any other fish comes into that vat.
So
with no water.
So my head here, when fish come in from Japan, I'm not adding the water. The reason I'm not adding the water is because
you won't add the water because of the amount of ammonia that's in there.
That's in there.
Yeah. But if you were moving a fish from pond A to pond B, would you take a fish with a sock, scoop it up, take your fish, bit of water in there so the fish has got some? Do you then tip that water out and just put the fish in? Or do you move the fish from pond A to pond B with the water and tip it in?
So with me, I want my fish to go out the door with as much hardness as possible. I don't want to have my fish that those fish are come from Odakan and those fish are come from Sakasumi. I want to
mix them.
I want to mix them as much as possible. And Rick 100% will confirm that. He's been there and he's like, same as normal. And I said, yeah, like fucking hell. Let them have the net from that pond. Let them have the net from that pond. Because, parasites are parasites. You're always going to be fighting those issues. But with the bacterial, with the viruses, I want my fish to be
exposed as much as possible.
Yeah.
And in doing so, transferring a fish with a little bit of water is not an issue.
Yeah, no, exactly. Definitely 100%. I want my fish to be able to go out the door and know that when they're added to somebody's pond, that they have seen everything as much as possible. And, even importing the fish from Japan, I do different to everybody else, is rather than having a pond, I know there's a risk with it, obviously, because you're increasing the risk because you're bringing in on the traceability side. I will have 3 different breeders, 3 different farms added to one pond. So yes, if you'll have an issue.
But do you do that from the offset?
Yeah. So immediately they come in. So there's 3 tanks, and this year I bought from 8 different farms. So those fish are going into 3 tanks.
So basically you're trying to get all those fish to cover as much possible crosses as you can to expose them to more stuff. So it's done there rather than it happening elsewhere. Yeah,
the last thing I want is any of my customers to say that fish has been added to the pond and immediately at vadding it's gone down with this, and you can identify that it's a bacterial rather than any other, the telltale fin rot or the bacterial symptoms. So my fish have to go through hell, and they do go through hell, because you think that first week of being introduced to multiple viruses that they've never ever seen, or bacterial strains that they've never ever seen, they have to go through it. But that's down to me. I got to get them through that and manage it accordingly.
Pass through a V-Light, filtered the backwater, is in good condition, so the situation is inverted by members of the club. Just the reason why I'm asking, Alan, is just wondering. I've never seen a benching. I've never seen what they do when the fish go in. They've always, been there when I've got there. So it's just interesting to ask the question as to what does what.
Yes, I always laugh at the benching. Well, I always laugh at the benching because my naivety. So 3 years ago, the first show that I went to, I thought benching was you turned up and there was Mr. Tate in front of you, and you put the fish in front of Mr. Tate in a tub, and he would record it. But it's not. It's they go in.
Matt, honestly, until quite recent, that's what I thought was the same thing. I thought the fish were put in, measured up, checked for the sizes that you've said in your category, and they were inspected a quick look at, and then away they went to the allocated VATs. I thought the same, mate, until a conversation that we've sat and talked about that, yeah, we've had since for me to know different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you want on your own with that one, mate, as well? Right, I don't know if we've got one more, last one. And this is the last one for the participation for yourselves. Would you spend 500 plus on a koi? Yes, no, maybe, or possibly even more. This which ties us into the bit where we were talking earlier on, Matt, where we were on about buying a tosai or growing it on and then buying your bigger fish at a nisai or sensai, yonsai, whatever. I'm just curious as to whether the vast majority of people would buy a tosai and they expect to grow it on, wouldn't spend that kind of money on a fish full stop. Maybe, depending how they were, or they would spend more than that.
But doesn't this go down to the koi appreciation? So we've said it in the past that fish isn't a show quality fish because it doesn't meet that category of what the judges or what the category needs to find. But we love that fish and we like that fish. So stuff everything else. As long as we enjoy that fish is nice to our own eye. Why not? It's like a kahaku. If you've got a kahaku that is, as I would say, dotty, lots of little belly spots going down through, to me, that's what I like about kahaku. But
yeah.
To other people, they would like a bigger pattern.
More the two-step pattern or a Imazume pattern with a lightning bolt effect kind of thing, or Maritime, whatever.
So I understand why people have to pay £500 plus for a fish, because it potentially is a higher quality show fish.
Well, you say that, but personally, right, I don't think £500, although, guys, don't get me wrong, I don't have a 500 quid fish in my pond, but I don't think £500 is a lot of money for koi. I mean, 500 quid and get you a nice fish that you might be entering to All Japan. It could get you a really nice fish as a tosai that might potentially become a absolutely mint show winner in years to come. But 500 quid ain't going to buy you a Nisai of a show quality. A pinch you might, but a good high quality Nisai would be more than 500 quid.
But you could spend £300 on a Nisai that isn't show quality, but you love it as much. So
exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's just again a question of curiosity, guys. Would people? 19% of people say yes, they would spend 500 plus on a koi. 44% of people say no. 19% of people say maybe, and 19% of people say that they would actually pay more. And that is 5 that say they will pay more, 5 that would say maybe, 12 that say no, and 5 that would say yes. I don't think in the grand scheme of things, 500 quid for a koi nowadays ain't really all that much money. I mean, most things, if you want something doing, or most things, a lot of things are around the £1,000 mark, aren't they? If you wanted a 2-year-old, 3-year-old fish, you could be a nice piece to enter into a show if you were into that type of thing. 500 quid could get you there quite easily. You could get there with 250. You could get there with a 125 quid fish if you bought it and you knew what you were looking for. I'm not saying you can't, but if you wanted to say, right, I've got a 2 or 3-year-old fish and I want that fish just purely so I can compete with it, 500 quid's just not going to touch it. But for a pond piece, Good amount of money, isn't it? It's a real good amount of money. But if you were buying one from Matt and he'd grown it on from you, and it was a Suri, for example, it would be about 500 quid at Nissan. We've already stated that tonight. An average price of where you've made a little bit and you've recouped a little bit and you've not lost too much by growing it on too long. Interesting. I won a major with an £80 koi. Exactly, Tony. And the point being, mate, is you can take a major, you can take awards, and you can get fish, and you can buy decent quality fish at that lower price bracket. But a lot of people wouldn't if they wanted to enter and they were serious koi keepers and seriously into showing. They'd spend 500 quid is, chump change, I would have thought, to a lot of Japan fish.
I wonder how many of the cheaper end fish will become grand champions.
Few and far between, mate.
Yeah. No, I think, does that scale drop off the older that fish is? So, yes, you can go and buy a £50 fish. Actually, I saw one today that come from New Forest, and I think it was £25. And it was a banging fish, and it was smart. But in 3 years' time, what will that fish be like?
So that's what we've the comment that we've just got up there then, right? I did it with a £40 English koi, and you did, and everybody knows you did, mate. And we've got Tony, I won a major with an £80 koi, and you did. Everybody knows it, mate. But do you think you'd be able to take that fish back? And Vince, do you think you could take that fish back next season and win again with the same fish?
But in reality, how many of the young champions, the smaller fish, do actually go back and win it year after year after year after year?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you go to some of the koi shows that I've seen and I've been to, you know that you can walk around there and you can see those fish, and you see the ones that get, they go from this and go from this, and then they end up being, huge, great big fish. You know it's the same fish because you've seen it for 4 or 5 years. And Mr. Tate will probably be able to tell us more than this than anybody. There'll be people that have got fish and have took baby champion with them. They'll have took, next size category up and next size up year after and next size up, because all these fish are growing on and continue to grow on. And a lot of the koi scene is a lot of the same people, no disrespect, but a lot of the same people, and they're showing those fish and they bought them so that they can progress through all those tiers of showing. And a lot of them are recompeted year in, year out and do well year in, year out.
But what I do want to say as well,
Tony,
not saying
you couldn't, Vince, or Tony. Not saying you can't, mate. I don't think I am.
But what I do want to say, though, Gaz, Tony, me and Vince are coming after you this year, so don't think you're going to win it.
Well, we've got there. I mean, Tony's putting there. Possibly, it's looking absolutely.
Wow, I love that. I love a challenge.
And then we've got one that we've got there, which is from a first in its first show to a third in the second show.
Yes.
There we go. Well, okay. How many All Japan champions, small, go on to win year in, year out? I don't know, mate. I wouldn't. That's honestly something I couldn't tell you, Alan. That's why I was asking. Is it do a lot of them go through? I mean, look at S Legend. That won 4 years in a row, did you not? So some do, but
do some people not deliberately feed the fish to push on the size so they remain in that same category? I don't know. I'm just.
Well, how long could you? I mean, how long can you keep a fish in that same category though, Matt? To the point where you have to next, it only takes to go over by a centimetre, and then
you could for about 10 years.
Oh, I could, yeah, I could, I could keep them there for long enough, mate. Yeah, but the quality stay there with it when you do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I obviously, guys, we're a non-heated pond, and this is not me. I am not slating anybody in any way, shape, or form. But if you've got a pond that's heated and you've got fish in there that you're growing and you're showing, then if it sneaks over by that one category, by that 1 cm into the next size category, then you're at the beginning of that category when most of those other fish that are in that category that are already in there are going to be within, I don't know, is it 10 cm between each category size or whatever? So if you've got one that's coming in at 31 cm and it's slipped out the 30 cm category and it's anything up to 40 cm for the next size category, they're going to have their fish towards the top end of that sort of category, aren't they? And they're going to be bodying up those fish to make them look the best that they possibly can within that size. And yours is just tipped into that point. So if yours goes over that size of category, you've got to really push that fish, haven't you, to try and get it as much body on it, as much size as you can within that category, I would have thought, to make sure that those fish are performing with the rest of them up there.
So do you think a pond that's heated takes more work to maintain the quality of the fish than an unheated pond?
Say again, sorry. I was reading a comment then. I'll go back and multitask.
Do you think it takes more skill, observation, etc., to keep a fish to show quality when you're heated to a unheated pond and taking a fish to the show? Because if you think about it, when you're heating a pond, they're going to consume a lot more food.
Yeah.
So if you're feeding the right type, a wrong type of food, you could, one, put on too much body weight, making the fish look wrong. If you're feeding, say, too much excess colour, like Dan from Nutrimail was saying, if you feed them the colour for too long, you're going to get bleeding of the colour coming into the body or pinkening of the white. So it does take a lot of skill to, and I got to be honest, down in the polytunnels, I'm forever flicking from one type of food to the other type of food because I can see that, and it does make, and with the heat, you see it happen quicker.
Oh, mate, without a doubt. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So you know where I'm coming from on that. That if you
I would have said it was easier in heat. Well, I'll dates put in there, easier heated, because if your fish is starting to body up too much and starting to get too much, all you need to do is cut back. Whereas in an unheated pond, you can be putting that food into them without the heat. They ain't going to grow anyway, are they? They're not going to put that body on. They're not going to be taking the benefits out of the food that you're giving them like a fish would do in a heated environment.
But when
they might consume as much, they're not going to convert it, are they? Without the heat.
But also at the same time, to get them show ready, and I don't know what temperature the vats will be this year. Oh, I guess it all depends on the weather at the time. But like when I went to see Ollie today, his pond, I think it was 27 degrees. It's running at now. How's he going to drop it down to the temperatures that he's needing? You've
got to start coming down a degree a week, haven't you?
Yeah.
But you've got to do it quick enough to be able to get them down without it being detrimental to the size or them losing any mass. That's what I mean. The beauty of show or showing, it's not easy, is it? It's not. No. It's not a simple. You can't. I mean, somebody like me. I mean, I could do it, guys. I could turn around and go, "Oh yeah, I'm going to enter my fish in a show," but I wouldn't have a fucking clue. And I would literally be just going out and looking at which are the best fish that I've got in my pond and thinking, well, I'm going to take that one because it looks the nicest to me. And that's the only thing I could do without a heated pond. I wouldn't be able to get a fish to look as mint as it needs to do prior for a show preparation and all the rest of it. Well, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to be involved in. And you've got to admit, hats off to all those that do it, because It's a lot of dedication. It's a lot more stress and a lot more putting into it, your hobby, than what it is just keeping fish. It's mind blowing, to be fair. But there we go. That's the last of the polls, guys. Let me remove. Where is it?
Yeah, tell you one that I was talking about today as well, guys. I had a customer looking at the fish in a polytunnel, and I had some. I have some Sakasumi Yamabukis, and the first thing he said when he walked in was, "Gee, the yellow on them, they are banging." I said, "Well, have a look in the other tank." So in the other tank had a mix of fish, and they were, I don't know, 26, 27 cm. I pulled a month ago, I took one of the Yamabukis from the pond, totally at random, chucked it in there with the bigger fish, and I've carried on feeding as normal. Today, I reckon that single Yamabuki is exactly the same size it was when it was put in there, and the other ones are put on in the last month, 6 cm.
Outcompeted because of its size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know Rick often talks about it, size matters. And definitely when you see that, that is 100% the case. Even when you watch them feeding, you chuck in the food and it's a mad rush to get the food. And you look in the distance and you watch the fish that are working around the outside, picking up the scraps. It's all the little small fish.
The only time I've ever seen anything different is when seeing yellow monkeys in a mix with some Nisai, and they didn't get out competed at all, and they bodied up and they put size on. They grew. They weren't. They were in the mix. They were eating, and they were eating hard, mate. They were there, but I've not seen it with anything else. But I've seen other fish. You've seen it when Rick saying you've got to remove the numbers, feed the same, and he always takes out the smaller stuff and puts the smaller stuff somewhere else and feeds them on, and they'll spurt on again because the competition of those other more vigorous eaters far outcompete what's in there and what's eating for them smaller ones to be able to get enough food to keep going. And once they start to fall behind, they normally tend to stay behind, don't they? They don't normally tend to catch back up again or catch up with what's already in there of a larger size than what they are. What Tony's put in there, I think it takes more skill to grow a small koi to show quality than buying a ready-made finished show quality koi. 100%, mate. I'd agree with that. I would say 100%. If you can take a small koi and grow it to a show quality koi, there's way more skill in that than going out and buying one.
But in reality, how many of those fish at a small size go from 20 cm to 60 cm to show quality? I'm not disagreeing. I 100% agree with Tony that his statement is right, but the percentage of fish, and it's like what Alan was saying, to take them all the way through to size 6, 7, 8, when they're in the smaller sizes, when you bought them, is one hell of achievement.
I was talking with Daniel the other day because he posted some Yamabukis and they were all in a bowl, and I thought, oh man, they look mint. Lovely them, absolutely stunning. And he replied back with, I started off with 22 pieces, I think it was 22 pieces. And out of the 22, I've not got any that I've considered good enough. So how many times do people take smaller fish? And he was literally doing it for show fish to compete with. How many times do people take show fish as a maybe 15, 20 pieces that they buy, purchase, pick up, and take those fish through to get anything that they can actually compete with out of those 20 odd pieces? You know, that are good enough to make the grade for showing. I mean, it's difficult, more difficult than what most think. I bet when you're growing on fry, and you grow on fry, and you might take out 200 pieces, you're going to be lucky if you get 200 fry, if you're going to get one or two that are, well, you'd be really lucky if you got one or two out of 200 fry that were show quality, because you're going to get down to that 1%, aren't you, of that 200, with your culls grading through and all the rest of it. I mean, you could get really lucky if you get that one fry that's been ungraded. If you bought a batch ungraded fry, you could get really lucky and have maybe 2 or 3 in there. But are they going to be show quality when they get through to the size that you want them to be competing? There's a lot that don't make the grade, mate. I bet there's a lot of people that buy them, select them and pick them and then don't actually end up with a fish that's good enough in the end.
And it's timing as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
That fish doesn't peak or that doesn't improve at the time when you want to take it to the show.
Yeah. Right then, let's have a look at some. What was that? Let's have a look at some. Have a look at some fish. Have a look at some koi that people have posted. Let's go with all the stuff that's been dropped in, and like I said, Paul, I apologise, mate. Rick's having the night off tonight, but we will go back at these and we will look back through them because there is some. It's a bit of a black. He's gone for a bit of a black and white theme.
Well, I'm going for a blue theme.
You're going for a blue theme?
Yeah, you'll see why.
What the hell?
Exactly. What the hell? That's what I've seen for the last hour.
Ah, that's a bit. See, why the hell have you got a blue haze over everything?
I don't know.
Right, first one. Let's go with this one. And these have been sent in by Paul Cunningham, but there's a question behind these, and we're going to go back to when I was showing. I would just buy one shuru, one shower, and it would be a min of 10 tosai to hopefully get one show quality coin. There you go. See, so even somebody as good as Alan, that is, looking at picking fish, would buy 10 pieces to get one good one.
That's one of the things I've been saying about it'd be lovely to do almost a show, grow and show, that you go to the show to buy a fish and you bring it back the following year.
That's what you've got, blue squares, Matt. That's what you can see, blue squares. Right then, this is his first one. Now, we will be coming back to these, but this particular, clicking on the wrong screen. This particular fish is from New Forest Koi. And what he wants to know is the parent stock to this one, and then the parent stock to the next one. But all these fish are one that Paul Cunningham's been growing on for exactly what we've been talking about, the show scene.
So Rick's Shiro, Vince will correct me if I'm wrong, is all Omisake.
I don't believe they are. I think that's the bit I want to know.
The female is.
Ah, right. It's a different male set that might be with him. That's what he's wanting to know.
I'm not 100%, but I think that's the case. Vince will know.
So that's his first one that he's wanting. But we'll come back to these, Paul, like I said, mate. And we'll go to your second one. Again, I mean, that's got a nice body on it. This is the one he prefers out the two, but he wants to know what the parent set is from this one. I would have thought it was Omisaka parents. So that's the second one. And first one was, put that down there. First one was 33 cm, New Forest Koi Shuru. And then the second one is 43 cm, again, New Forest Koi. The third one, Omisaka Nisai, which is 47 cm. Oh, man, that's nice.
That's the best of the three so far. I've said for a long time, if you want a Shiro, Rick he's nailed it.
Well, this one's actually Omasako, but the first two were Rick's.
All right, but he has nailed it. Some of the Shiros, I think Darren Aragoki's got a banging one as well.
Yeah, but that is absolutely beautiful as well. So that's the third one, which is Omasako Nisai 47 cm, Omasako Nisai 48 cm. Mr. Tate will be loving this. And when you've done, guys, pick your favourite out of all these Shuro Utsuris, which one you think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6?
I reckon that one there is the best potential so far.
And he's not spoken through any of them either, guys. We've got the first one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, or 7. 7 in total. I think I've done that one on this one. That's the next one. Ginrin. Now that's a faking weapon. I really like this one, me. I don't know. I think he's Gin. I just like Ginrin, me. Much more appealing when they've got a bit of sparkle to them. Beautiful. No, you reckon that one, Matt?
I like that.
I like that.
I like that. When we were in Japan, shit duck. What was his name? Kobayashi. He bought the Shiro from Kobayashi, and we were talking about the sumi at the front edge of it, like on the it's just off the screen now, where you got it bleeding into it. And we said about it to Kobayashi, and he was like, no. Sansai, you wait until Sansai, and it will pull all of that sumi back into the main pattern. So where it looks like it's not fading out, but the actual colour fades out, it will actually, as the size grows, it will pull it back in and make it more of a defined edge.
Yeah. So the last one was 54 cm Sansai, and the next one is Nisai, 55 cm female. Omasako again. It's a damn big Nisai, that, isn't it? 55 cm. I'm not so sure about that one, by which I mean lovely body, lovely size profile, and good size and structure. But that's going to be a heavy, what looks like it's going to be a heavy right-sided pattern, doesn't it? If all that fills in. Not saying it will.
That's the thing. It's hard to define how much of that's going to fill in. Like, yeah, when you look at it there on the right-hand side behind the pectoral or dorsal, that's going to potentially be pretty solid, but you don't know what's going to retrieve.
Yeah, what's going to change, because we've seen them before in the past when we've put up pictures of Shuro have they've developed over 3 and 4 years. When you've seen colour and sumi come up, and then it's backed off and retracted. So we've got the last one then. But I mean, that's one hell of a size, isn't it? And then Omasako Gosai. Oh my God. Flipping heck. That's nice. Terry says, that's nice. Don't like the yellow heads on a lot of Shuro Utsuris. males sometimes tend to have a bit more of a yellow head, but not always necessarily. Sometimes it's food colour enhancing that's being fed to them, which makes the head yellow up a bit, but it can be brought out of them again by using pure white but sometimes it's a tell of a male fish too.
For that, you like the pattern that the sumi is showing. You can see.
Still me on that.
Yeah.
Jet black, innit?
There's that thing that we've always said. It's like when you've got a load of tosai in the tank, the tosai that's showing the pattern and looks pretty at that point is the first one to sell. But the other one that the sumi hasn't come out, everybody doesn't take any notice of it and it's left in the tank.
One to seven, guys. What's your pick? Pretty much. I'm pretty sure that 7 might just romp on with that one. But we will come back to those next week because there is something that we need to find out, and Paul wants to find out. And if he wants to come on and join us and have a chat with Rick and ask him directly himself, it might be an interesting conversation. Well, that's the first batch, the first lot. Rick 7. Number 5 was my favourite from Tina. Roy says number 7. Number 3 for me. Sorry. Number 3 so far. Number 7 from Andrew. Yeah, Roy says number 7. And the next one we've got George Shuru Atsure, New Forest Koi, 30 cm, and Kobayashi, 33 cm. So 2 entered here from George. Now, then, which do you think's Kobayashi?
Larger one.
I did read it out just then, so it shows you weren't listening.
Hey?
I did read it out. New Forest Koi, 30 cm, Kobayashi, 33 cm. So that is Kobayashi, and that is New Forest Koi. And Alan Tate says he likes all of them. So there's potential there, and these things that Alan sees, which is a bit that I think Paul wanted to speak to Rick about, as to see how well those fish will progress and do in the future. But I can understand why, Alan. There wasn't a bad fish in there, really, was there? And 2 nice fish there as well, George.
That goes on to that question of a show fish. When is it a show fish? Is it only a show fish when it's ready for a show, or potential for a show fish next year?
If you look at them 2 fish in there, and if we were to go pattern-wise, I know it's not the right way, but both those fish in there have got nice body, good profiles, good Saroja, good Sumi. And one of those fish is One of those fish is only 3 cm smaller than the other, but you can see the body difference in the mass to the bigger fish. Bigger one being Kobayashi and the smaller one being New Forest Koi. My God, that's a good fish from New Forest Koi when you think about the bloodline of that fish from Kobayashi.
But like what I said earlier on, Rick has banged the Shiros.
That's a damn nice fish, isn't it?
Yeah, you can buy some really good quality Shiros.
Next one. Thank you very much, George. Joe Mitchell sent in that little, I'm going to guess, Sankey, obviously. Ginrin. Nice little Ginrin Sankey. No videos. Just going with a still, perfect hand shot. Just peckless.
Oh, I can't laugh at that, can I?
No. Oh, this! I know what this is going to do now. This is going to... Oh, no, it didn't. Again. Oh, this one is a video. Can we make this full and a full screen? That's nice too, man.
The Shiro's got to be one of the easiest ones that you can almost picture what it's going to do.
That'll be lovely when it comes through on that head pattern and makes that little V through head, won't it?
Yeah. Yeah, at the moment it's back heavy, but when it comes through on the head, it's going to transform that fish.
Yeah, and round and through, round back at gills.
Yeah.
I like that. That's nice, Joe. So we've got from that one and then to a little Ginnerin shower. Alan Tate says, could I buy a New Forest koi and grow it to win an adult mature champion? Probably, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. A New Forest Shuro and grow it to become a mature adult champion? Probably, yes. There you go. That in itself just shows the quality of what Alan thinks to Rick's.
I know a lovely little lady that's going to do that, Seska.
2 from Rick and 2 from Sakaguchi Kahaku for £25 each. I got them for. Oh, that's lovely. I like that. That's nice, that, Joe.
Joe's getting good at this, isn't he?
Yeah, that's nice too. If that had had a little bit less of that pattern on its head, just for me, for my own personal choice, but soft Benny on that one, innit? Hope that one develops up a little bit more. And again, lovely, healthy mucus coat on them. Can't get too big. Some nice fish in that bowl, Joe. Adrian McCullum, and he sent us in this. Just purchased last week from a local koi dealer. Only popped in for a few bits and pieces. Marahiro Ginnerin Shuru at Sura. Be interesting to see how it develops. And I think that this is the Ginnerin as well.
I got one exactly like that.
That's nice.
So what do you reckon the Sumi will do on that?
It'd be nice to see if it linked through to Ed over that bit of shoulder there and through onto Ed, up over its shoulders, and hopefully thicken up in those areas where it's a little bit sporadic.
I suppose it'd be nice to see more videos of that now and then sort of style. Lovely.
Yeah, no, mate, we've all the time that we've watched and we've done this kind of stuff, and we've done all this looking at videos of fish and what have you. It'd be lovely to see some of them now, 2 years on, not what we looked at back.
I'll tell you what you could do, Gaz, in your spare time is go back a year ago to Koi Appreciation, look at some of the posts and go back to those people and say, have you got a picture of that fish now?
Yeah, we should do a revisit.
That'd be really good.
And then we've got people. There's more fish getting posted. We've got his first pond appreciation, which is I've got to admit, Amanda, your pond is absolutely lovely. You just need to learn how to use your mobile phone to expand it that direction so that we can get to appreciate all in its entirety. But you got some really nice fish. But look at that, man. I mean, in ground and above, 50-50. So she's gone for the both best of both worlds. You get that nice appreciation through the window. Look at that, man.
Was that a gourmet?
I think so, yeah.
Banging.
That was really nice, wasn't it?
It was. That was sexy.
And there's a cockapoo. Just runs in at the last minute. Thanks for sharing. Next time, if you do us a huge one, so we can see the whole entirety of your pond, because that'd be nice to have a look at it all for everybody to see it. Film it in the opposite direction. Oh, somebody on a motorbike. Goshki Sanke.
Have you seen one of those before with Benny?
I got a fucking shit one in my pond. It's almost gone. Almost all the Benny's nearly almost gone off it. It's nearly completely all gone now. It is going to definitely. That's a funny size photo, that, isn't it? That one. Goshki Sankis, really do like them a lot. Just not had no success with mine, unfortunately. But a nice fish from Kibby, but no longer going to be being produced, which is a bit of a sickener. And the last, Kin Hiyatsure from New Forest Koi, and it was selected and picked and sent in by Luke Bradbury Mead. Again, another nice piece from New Forest Koi. Did we have a size? Did we have a size there with that one? Shit, don't cross that one off. No size with it. Now then, where the hell's that? It's, put that down on there. We did have one or two that were sent in by Mark Cognero. Is that right? Am I saying it right? Marco Togneri. Sorry. Togneri. Bought from exclusively Koi auction September 25th. Breeder Shinoda, turned out not too shabby. And it's a little bit of a jumpy video, but this is how it started off its life. I actually remember this fish, to be fair. It's got a little bit of a slight different coloration of the pigmentation just around the gill plate here on the left-hand side. But what did it become?
Banging.
Oh, lovely chag.
Just goes to prove you don't have to feed him the best food. You can feed him crab sticks.
Yeah, it grew all that growth literally on crab sticks. Let's see if the other video of it again.
It's a lovely fish. When you look at the shoulders on it, it's got some growth today.
Nice. That's got a nice scalation pattern that on it. Again, single colour fish, but it still looks absolutely bang on. Cheers, Marco. Thank you for sending that in, mate. Again, at least that is one that we've got to see go from this to this in a short period of time. The Kin Hiyatsure is 44 cm. Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. Last one that we've got, a few in here from the Koi of the Week that was sent in and shared. Richard Perkins, New Forest Koi, £10 pick and mix last year. This blew my mind, mate, this.
And Rich, I'm going to get really offended if you don't.
New Forest Koi, £10. £10 with that. That is fucking stunning.
I want to see my Sankey, Rich.
Yeah, I would, if I bought that for a tenner, I would be over the moon with that. That is absolutely stunning, man. That is mint.
What
10 quid from New Forest Koi. Look what he's producing, man, for a tenner. What the hell? Rick, man, put your prices up.
What is it, the Gaz?
It's a Soragoi. Ginrin. I believe it is, anyway. But it's real light in coloration, which I think my Saragois not. Mine's darker, Well, I like it, but the gin on it's nowhere near as nice as that. Banger that, mate. Really is. Next one. Oh, look, there we go. That's one that we've just put in. Look, I did. And then we've got Johnny Brandon's, who's got a real nice Taniguchi Aragoki special. That looks like that will make a beautiful fish too. Again, a bit of Aragoki. Not everybody's cup of tea, but I rate like them.
I reckon the majority of people have got them now.
Yeah, a lot of people have. But that, for me, I'm sorry, I'm going to say, for me, that's my favourite. That's my favourite at night, that is mint, mate. And I would be chuffed to bits if I had that. Really would. Stunning. My favourite of the evening. Beauty. Even with the extra added finger in the side of the picture as well. It still doesn't detract from that fish's beauty. Single colour. Absolutely mint. Clean as a whistle. Not a shimmy, not a mark. Head, body. Banging. So, that. Sorry. Is that. And obviously, guys, don't forget, we've got the koi show that's coming up, and we are looking on Saturday the 27th and Sunday the 28th of June, the 46th National 2026 Koi Show at the heart of UK koi keeping.
Was it 4 weeks tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah. Opening hours Saturday 9 a.m. or 5 p.m, Sunday 9 a.m. or 3 p.m. For full info and updates, scan the QR code that you can see if you can manage to scan that one. Let's see if we can make it bigger so you can. Don't know if we can. Oh, can we bollocks? Never mind. But there is a little scanner. There is a little scanner there, slide at bottom. And I think we might have had. Oh, we did have a couple more here. No, this is quite nice. Darren Rollins, New Forest Koi last year, Rick's YouTuber Fest. Fucking hell, man. Get on that. And that's not anything wrong with the fish there, guys. That's literally bubbles just above its pectoral. But that is a banger too. Very nice. And I know we have shown a few of these. Golden Cornish. Richard Perkins' Golden Cornish. Golden Corn? I like the bit that you added, the ish. I'm not so sure about those particular varieties myself. For me, they're not my cup of tea. But still developing, mate. If all the Kanoko comes up and through on it, and you get that covering and developing up throughout the fish's full body, then it'll look quite unique, quite nice. But they're a slow burner, aren't they? I'm not a fan. Not of your particular fish, of that variety, mate. I mean, that sounded so wrong. And then we've got purchased Mick Markins, purchased this really nice Saito Kahaku from Ricky's auction. This is one of two koi that I won. What do you reckon, Matt? Lacking a little bit here.
Yeah, I don't like it, the pattern. Yeah. But it's a lovely fish.
It's a lovely fish, yeah. But for me, pattern-wise, it's just lacking in mid-area, isn't it? Just and Yeah, if you'd have had, it's got everything else about it's nice. It's just missing or lacking a little bit in midsection. Moved out of the Grom, cost £10 ish last year. Oh, same one. You're trying to get to win twice. Now this is the one that I said that I really liked. This Craig Willis. That is a very nice pond. To see it's an out of the ground pond, I rate like that when I saw it. It's mint. But I think it's the fact that everything is just straight, nice, 90-degree angles to it, nice, clean, crisp, banging pond, mate. Looks lovely. Sets off well to the perfect, look at that, perfect cut lawn and perfect garden, even washing. Go on then. As soon as it's you.
They're all Ricky's fish.
They're all from Rick.
Yeah. They're not mine. They're not here. But they're all Ricky's. That one right in the middle now I like.
That one.
Yeah.
That's nice. Not so much of a fan of this. Not so sure about that one. That one's way too heavy.
Actually, that one at the bottom looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It's got a lovely pattern on it.
And then you sent another bolt. Are them all these cheeky monkeys?
I reckon so. I don't know nothing about
Not
them.
not all of them, though, are they? But
Which is your favourite out of the whole bowl then?
out of the whole bowl, let's pause it then. Trying to see if we get it. This one.
So is that Aragoki?
I'm not. Yeah, it is. Yeah. But yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. And then if you're going for the single colour, the one running along the bottom, that one not running, swimming along the bottom. No, it's not now. It is at the bottom right-hand corner.
Oh,
yeah.
It's not full. Colour don't go all the way down though, right? Does it? Aragoki Kajaku, yeah. Key Kajaku as all that vintage, which, yeah, banger. Like that. But that colour don't go all the way down. But that would be, if I were going to pick one, next one would be that one just for body on it. But the colour don't go all the way down. It's lightening up round underside. And I've got to admit, I've already got Deutz Karashigoi, and that is mint. That is beautiful from him. I think it is. It's becoming my favourite fishing pond. But yeah, that one, 100%.
I like that.
I like that a lot.
It'd be interesting to see what that's like when it's, because why is he now 20 cm?
That one's nice. It's just too much of too much yellow on head. If it had had a bit of a break in head and had a bit of white with it as well, then I would have gone with that one as the second. But yeah, it's just too much. If it had had a nice bit of white breakthrough on head somewhere, then yeah, it'd have been that one as my second.
Mm.
Close that, jump that, beautiful pond that, put that down there, and the last couple of, oh no, it's two more ponds. Shit, missed them. Right, Grant Lockett's got two little bangers there. Never been a fan of these. Not much. They've never really been my cup of tea. But I can't beat the Deutz. Don't know why I don't like them. Matt sent me one, a green one. I don't mind the green one, mate. I like it. And the zip on it's absolutely mint, but it's just got the head is perfect. Well, was perfectly clean, but it's got one little tiny little sort of like that bluey black colour dot just on its head.
Yeah, well, that's why I let it go.
Thanks. And then we've got Adrian McCullum. Have we already seen this one? Yeah, we have. You guys are double posting, but a bit of a pond from somebody overseas by the look of that name. I'm not going to try to pronounce it because a Photon Balkus Funtes. Apologies if I said that completely wrong. Nice looking pond there. In ground, gone with a natural look. And the last one of the evening, ladies and gents, is Keith Audley's was gone for a little bit of a Japanese theme. Hence the reason why you all got those kind of questions today that you got, because I've been looking for these for a week. And that, ladies and gents, is the end of that. Thank you very much to all those that have participated with the polls that we've done and those that have sent in pictures of the fish. Paul, we will get back to you, mate, if you want to come and join us next week and you can have a chat with Rick and find out what it is that you want to know exactly, because I think that would be an interesting conversation, and to see what you're thinking and what your thoughts are on the other ones that you've supplied and posted in with us as well. So I'll make sure that I keep those fish and we'll bring them back up for next week. But as for that one being just a quick cheers for the recommendations on the strainer gas. Oh, my pleasure, mate. Honest to God, bud, they're brilliant. They really are. And I say it every time. I forget the gentleman's name. I'm shit. Elizabeth, did you post? Where did you post it, love? And I'll have a look and find it for you. It was a gentleman that provided it for me, but it literally has been the best thing that I've put in on my pond. It saves so much time and so much effort and so much.
You're not talking about the pre-strainer gas.
Yes, thing's brilliant, mate.
You forgot who told you about that.
I forget the gentleman's name, but he brought it to the show when we were there.
Yeah, it was me that did it on GKP, and he gave you one at the show.
Yeah, he did, yeah. I've forgotten the gentleman's name, and I've also forgotten the gentleman's name who gifted me the Ginrin Ceragoy that I've got, and that is doing mint as well. Whereabouts did you put it, Elizabeth? Facebook. That narrows it down a bit. Did you put it on the bit where it says GKP live stream Thursday night evening, or is it? Oh, it's not that one, but we'll show that one too while I've got it. Sean Williams. Come on. We got that one in there from Sean Williams, again, which is a bit of a Aragoki type theme going on that one. I'll make sure was it that way. Sean Williams is another one, a Chag. Hopefully, if I keep clicking to the right now with these, I might bring it up. The live, Thursday live. Did you put it on Thursday this week or Thursdays last week's? That's the thing. That's the one, mate. Marco's, right, so it's not in there. So it must be in. Yeah, that's what you got, mate. One of them. They're absolutely brilliant. An inline pre-filter for anybody that's got a dry mounted pump running off a retro bottom drain. And in this top section of this basket bit here, you unscrew this part, lift out that, and the chamber comes out. It catches all your leaves in it. You put it back in, put it back on, tan it back up. Jobs are good and you're away. Absolutely ace. They are brilliant. Right, let's see if we can find Elizabeth's fish. That one did make me laugh. And there you go, koi competitions. That was the one where he put on the other day about him sunbathing and what having a all bright red in face. When you tell her you keep Tanasabbers, I think we should both start seeing other men. It does put some bangers up, man. It does make me giggle. Was it in this one, Elizabeth? Let's see if it was. No. Them's all ones from last week. So was it in? Wasn't in Coil of the Week. Wasn't in that one. Was it? How did it come through then? I'll give it a quick refresh and make sure.
Guys, go up to your search box and type in Elizabeth's name.
In there?
No, you have to go to your group.
Bollocks. And then search it in.
And then over the right-hand side, let your search box.
Elizabeth Van? No, Elizabeth. Nothing. Oh,
It'll be in there somewhere.
there we go. It might be in this one. Is it this one? Lizzie Martin. There you go. We found. Oh my God! Oh, working and all. Wow. Shit, that's nice. Good night, Tina. Thanks for joining us. Wow.
Whose is that?
That's Elizabeth Martins.
Yeah, but who's the breeder?
Oh, did it say? Let's see. Omasaka female 58 cm and shower from Hoshkin, which is that is mint. That. Let's bring up the shower as well. Well, I'm glad we searched in and looked for them because two very nice fish. And I mean, I'm half tempted to now turn around and say that might be the Seragoi that I really liked. That was really, really nice. No, I'm going to stick with my guns. I'm going to go with a single colour. But that, thank you very much, Elizabeth. That is mint. Really. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. It does make you think, bastard, I need some better fish. When you see something like that. Absolutely mint.
Yeah,
that is really, really nice. Yeah, I'm tempted, Koi Bodyguard. I might have to turn around to say it same, but I'm going to have to put him in an equal first place for me. That is very, very nice. Right then, ladies and gents, that is that. Whew. And I'm gonna leave you this evening with a little bit of something.
Oh, you're not going to do the can or something?
No, nothing silly. I'm going to leave you a little bit of something. I listened to something today and I thought, you know what? That is quite good. Yesterday's history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. So live life and live it how you want to. Enjoy it. And if nothing else, guys, keep smiling. And until next time, we'll catch you on the next one. This has been one hell of an experience. Very nice. Have a look at that. sit there, into the little bush so you can sit inside the other pond.